Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. So excited for another live stream. Yesterday was such a fantastic day. Thank you all again so much for the birthday wishes yesterday. What a fun day it was. The NBA draft, the first round especially, was unbelievably insane. A lot of stuff that I did not foresee and most people did not foresee. Hanson Yang going in the middle of the first round, the Memphis Grizzlies trading up to pick 11. You had an incredible trade between the New Orleans Pelicans and Atlanta Hawks that, of course, not only shook up the draft this year, but has significant implications going into a loaded 2026 draft as well. Wow, what a crazy day one it was. Welcome, everyone, to the stream. Really do appreciate you guys. Be sure to leave a like on your way into the stream today. Shout out to Wake Up here, says the True Sickos here a half hour early. He sent that at 5:34 Eastern time, so he's been here for half an hour now at this point. An absolute legend. Thanks, Wake Up, for hopping into the stream early here. Packers Goat says, yo, welcome to the stream. DCD Gaming says, hey, Sheldon, welcome back. Glad to have you in here once again. And Unlimited says, yes, sir. I appreciate you guys all so much. Just so you are aware, just in case I don't want anyone to miss it, draft order right there down below. So the official second round NBA draft order is on the ticker right now. I will be back in just 1 second. All right, just had to check something on the stream real quick to make sure that everything was up and working correct. Old Dirty here says, incredibly stupid trade by Dumars and Weaver. Yeah, Troy Weaver's got his fingerprints all over everything over there. Unlimited says, you didn't mention the Wizards as losers or winners, so I'm curious what you think, giving it an A-. Unlimited says, I think for them specifically, I love the Trey Johnson pick. I thought, getting him at 6, I had him ranked number 5 on my big board. I like him a lot for them. Now at 21, the Will Riley situation, trading down at least from 18, I did enjoy them getting a couple of extra assets by moving down. I think all in all, give it an A- or an A. I think they had a good draft. I like the Trey Johnson pick a lot. I don't think Will Riley has a ton of defensive talent that he's going to be able to uncover in the league, and the Wizards have been kind of building a defensively slanted team a bit. I thought Trey Johnson gave them a good balance offensively, giving them another guy who can function off the ball as an elite shooter, give them a lot of functionality. We will be breaking out the whiteboard again today as well, but I do land with an A-, kind of great for them. Will Riley does have some offensive talent to kind of work on and develop into. I like his dribble pull-up shooting, and I like his downhill creativity as a passer. He keeps his head up as a wing, which is something that is a real separator for him compared to other wing prospects in this draft. But I don't know. There's other prospects at 21 I would have liked more for them, just admittedly, but Will Riley's still solid. Real Seb here says Spurs trade in for Ray. No, I don't think that's going to happen. If the Spurs had interest in a guy at the top of the second round, they would not have traded 38 yesterday. Packers Goat says, do you think we'd see any players get traded tonight? Also, hope you had a great birthday. I had a tremendous one. Huge thanks to you guys for, of course, being there celebrating with me. And when it comes to players traded tonight, there might be a few, but nothing big. And I just want to, get that out of the way early here. It'd be fun. I wish I could sit here and promise you that some big trade happens tonight, some huge player. Typically in the second round, you're going to see smaller transactions. You're going to see some money moves, some second round draft pick trades, maybe future second round draft picks get dealt like we saw earlier today between Phoenix and Brooklyn. There are things like that will happen tonight, but I don't see any big, super notable players getting traded. So no Giannis Antetokounmpo trade as an example for that. We will go over to Twitter here in just a little bit as well. I want to show some things and kind of recap what happened yesterday as well. Hunter Iggy says, Utility Sportsman, appreciate you being in here. SRG says, yo. Fred says, let's go Orlando Magic. What a draft for them yesterday, getting Jace Richardson as low as pick number 25. That's an absolute steal in the first round, in my opinion. I give them an A++ for that selection. And of course, they made the big splash earlier a couple weeks ago, trading for Desmond Bane. I thought all in all, they did a great job. Unlimited says, did you update trades? Yes, the bottom line there, the ledger should have should have the trades included. So I think you'll see here in just a minute at pick 36, it should say that it's traded to the Suns. We'll see it come across here in just a second. Rock says, let's go Hawks. What a night for them. I thought they did a great job. We'll talk about that big trade that they made here in just a minute. But here you go at the bottom now. For number 36, you see it says the Nets. And then after that, reportedly traded to the Suns. So all of the assets are updated there on the bottom. Tag here, thank you for the 5. Back again for round 2. Windhorse says Utah is more willing to move Markkanen after drafting Bailey, and Ainge even called Ace a franchise player. Tag Live, appreciate you hopping into the stream here again today. Absolute legend. Yesterday showed out big time. Always appreciate your comments. And again, the super chats go a long way in supporting the channel. So really appreciate you, my man. Yes, Austin Ainge had a lot of love for Ace Bailey. And one thing specifically stood out to me in his presser about him. I'm going to move over to this. There we go. This is something I talked about, and a lot of people did not agree with me on YouTube about this, especially in the comment section. I've talked about Ace Bailey as a high floor player for a while. He's not really a boom or bust player to me because, one, I think there's some functional tools that will limit him as a superstar, but I also think the floor is incredibly high because he's a good, rangy, fluid athlete who has functional tools that apply defensively, whether it's screen navigation or on the defensive glass. And that's exactly what Austin Ainge, the Jazz's new president, shared in his in this piece by Jonathan Gavoni for ESPN. His scoring gets a lot of attention, deservedly so. He is very skilled for his size, but watching a lot of film on him, this is Austin Ainge's quote, I was impressed with his defensive effort and particularly his rebounding. This is something I continually mentioned for Ace Bailey the last 3-4 months or so. A lot of weak side block shots and his joy and energy for the game. I think the rebounding is specifically the thing that stands out to me, especially with how important each possession is in the NBA playoffs. Ace Bailey helped himself a lot by being a functional rebounder. And of course, throughout the course of the year, even when his shot wasn't falling, the shot selection would be spotty, questionable. What stood out to me at all times was the effort, energy, and the application of his athletic gifts on the glass. And I think that stood out in a big way. Tag Live, appreciate you again. Big time. Thank you so much for the 5. Let's go. Fred here says, hit the like button. You guys heard Fred. Everyone go smash that like button now. I'm going to go check how many likes the stream is at early on here. We are already up to 28 likes just a few minutes into the stream. I definitely think we can get that number up big time. Eric here says, should my Hornets draft a rookie center or go big for Adebayo or Sabonis? What would we have to give up for Adebayo? I don't think the Hornets are in play for Adebayo or Sabonis, to be completely honest with you, Eric. I think it's more than likely that they're going to draft one of either Kalkbrenner or Reynaud with their couple of picks. Again, if you look on the ticker here as it comes across, you will notice that the Hornets have picks both 33 and 34 toward the top of the second round. So it's very likely they'll be able to get one of those two big men. B here says the Lakers still have $4.5 million to potentially move up in the draft. Hopefully we can trade into the mid-30s. Yes, the Lakers moved up earlier up to number 45, I believe it was. So with that in mind, maybe the Lakers look to move up again by trading more cash. Now, important to note, that does hard cap them at the second apron, the fact they traded cash. But that's really not too problematic with where they're at on their roster. Tilton says, do you think that Amari Williams could be a target for the Wizards at 43? Amari Williams is a fun player. Some really great north-south dynamism, super athletic, some solid passing feel, of course, as well to build off of, and then very functional as a rim-to-rim big man when it comes to catching lobs, finishing above the rim. I just think it's about kind of honing in some of the game yet and getting that, putting stuff together and the intelligence, the feel, and the consistency and positioning and the application of that athleticism all the time. And, I do think Washington would consider him at 43. They could just use another backup big man and a young one to hopefully develop, but we'll see. We'll see which way they actually go. Mr. Ray says, drop a like on the way in, kind folks. I hope you are well, Sheldon. And man, what a wild night. Yes, night one was insane. Let's go recap what happened, what we saw on day one of the 2025 NBA draft. Again, it was ridiculous. This is NBA.com here. Of course, at the very top, we weren't super shocked about anything in the top four. Top four completely followed my mock draft, my final one. But then 5, Utah drafts Ace Bailey despite no pre-draft workout. And despite all of the noise and rumors that Ace Bailey wanted to ultimately go to one of Washington or Brooklyn, he lands in this event with the Utah Jazz. The Wizards at 6 drafted Trey Johnson. I like that for them. Jeremiah Fears goes at 7 to the Pelicans, which I thought was very weird. The Pelicans traded expiring money for CJ McCollum, or expiring contracts of CJ McCollum and Kelly Olynyk for long-term salary of Jordan Poole, and then drafted a point guard with Jeremiah Fears while still having DeJounte Murray coming back from an injury, hopefully in the next couple of months, or at least the early stages of the NBA season. So I was a little surprised by this. I didn't think Fears was going to be the guy they went with, but they ultimately did. The Nets, of course, shocked everybody. Actually did take Igor Demon in my final mock draft. I had them trading up to pick number 10 to get him. They ultimately pulled the trigger on him at 8 and did not move up in the first round and used all 5 of their first-round picks, which has been pretty much unprecedented throughout NBA history. Toronto Raptors drafted Colin Murray-Boyles. I like that for them. Really connective, smart, high-intelligence defender, and a good piece on offense as well. Rockets, this pick, of course, went to the Suns. So this is the Suns selecting Kaman Maluach. I thought Phoenix had a really great night 1. They went from having 0 good centers on their roster. Again, I'm not a big believer in Nick Richards, not a huge fan of his game. I don't think he has a lot of impact. But they went from having 0 centers that can actually play starting caliber minutes to having 2 of them in Kaman Maluach and also Mark Williams. So a huge win, in my opinion, for the Phoenix Suns. Then you have the Grizzlies trading up to number 11 for Cedric Howard. I thought they maybe paid a little too much to move up for him, but I do understand the fit. That's a player who, ever since Memphis got pick number 16 from the Magic, the only player I mocked to them toward the end of the cycle at all since that acquisition was Cedric Howard. So I was ultimately right about kind of team and player combination there. Bulls went with Noah Senge. I like that for their pace. This one right here is the big one. This trade between these two teams is insane. Now, I do like Derek Queen a lot. Derek Queen finished number 3 on my big board, but this trade was a real doozy. We're going to talk about that real quick here. Again, just a little bit of recapping night 1 of the NBA draft and everything that we saw play out between those teams, but this is the one that I have not really been able to stop thinking about. I tweeted this about an hour ago or so, maybe a little bit more now at this point, but this is the trade that I think we really need to spend some time about. I think if the lottery comes out and next year, like, you get through the season, I don't think New Orleans is going to be a playoff team. And then if all of a sudden this pick that they owe, which is the best between them and Milwaukee, so possibly 2 cracks at the apple, 2 bites of the apple, so to speak, maybe for Atlanta next year in the lottery, depending on what happens with the Bucks. Now, I do think Milwaukee probably will make the playoffs in the East, but you never know. In the event that this pick turns into a top 3 selection, one of Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa, or Cam Boozer, this is unreal value for Atlanta. They walked away with a huge fleece, getting pick 23, that 2026 first, and like it's insane. It's a really insane haul. Now, for New Orleans, if Queen is as good as I think he can be, now I am a little scared, to be honest with you, about New Orleans' developmental track record and the minimization of talent there, and how guys just typically don't realize the potential that they honestly have coming into the league in New Orleans. I do think it's a little bit of a struggling franchise. That's part of why Joe Dumars is there, but he's been really active, and I'm not sure if I've loved everything. I definitely don't like Troy Weaver's involvement. I think it's a huge gamble, and if he's as good as I think he can be, it's worth it, as long as they don't end up conveying one of Peterson, Dybonsa, or Boozer to the Hawks, because admittedly, even though I love Queen a ton, even though he's top 3 on my board this year, he would not be top 3 on my board next year, because those 3 guys I do think are just a peg above him as prospects, and that scares me now for New Orleans, and I love it for Atlanta with that mindset long-term going into next year's draft cycle. I do think this was the biggest move of the draft, and honestly, it carries a lot of risk for New Orleans. It also carries a ton of upside for them. And if everything goes smoothly, and if Derek Queen's as good as I think he can be and turns into an all-star caliber player, it's a home run. But there is some significant risk now involved too. Spurs getting Carter Bryant, I like quite a bit. Sorber was awesome for OKC. This is going to be so good. Sorber finished at 19 on my board, but if I had known he was going to land in Oklahoma City, he probably would have been like 12. His shot blocking, his rim protection, the connective skills offensively, all of that stuff is going to blossom beautifully there with the talent and the speed that team is able to play with. So I really like this for Oklahoma City. Hansen Yang, this was the big shocker in the middle of the first round as Portland drafted him. Funny enough, if we go back over, it's not like unheard of to imagine Hansen Yang, though, as a first-round pick. And I'm going to show you over on my profile. I retweeted it last night. Let me see if I'm able to find it. Where was it? This was this was June 29th in 2024, okay? This is me saying this a year ago, basically today almost. We will get a good look at potential first-round pick Hansen Yang in the upcoming Summer League. So that was last year's Summer League. He was playing for the Chinese national team. Yang has a great opportunity in front of many NBA executives. And if you, look at that and the way that it's played out, obviously, it was a huge success for Hansen Yang, and he ends up getting drafted in the first round. And it's to Mike Schmitz, who, of course, covers the globe better than anybody, honestly. He is a very well-traveled scout, was doing so for ESPN before doing so for Portland. Joan Berger for Minnesota gets to learn under Rudy Gobert. I like that for him. Walter Clayton Jr. for the Wizards, solid pick, or for the Jazz, solid pick here. There's Traore to the Nets. Didn't absolutely love that. Yakachonis for Miami at 20. I do think this was a really good fit, especially with Bam Adebayo. Jazz at 21 with Will Riley. Pretty solid. Talked about him earlier. Drake Powell, I love this for Brooklyn. Gets a good point of attack defender with great athletic tools and some solid off-the-catch play finishing instincts. Asa Newell for the Hawks. I loved what Atlanta's been able to do this week. You get Porzingis. You get Asa Newell. You get that first-round pick next year from New Orleans. You're looking at a premium crop of talent coming in this year in Newell and Porzingis in the front court, but you're mostly banking on next year being able to maybe get a top 3, top 4, top 5 pick, which seems very likely at this point. Nick Clifford at 24 to Sacramento. I thought that was pretty good for them. Love this. This was one of the steals of the draft, in my opinion. Jace Richardson at 25. Sharaf and Wolf at 26, 27. The one thing, so I didn't love the Nets draft, especially at the beginning. Yegor Demon, didn't love that. Don't love Traore at 19. But this Nets team has formed an identity. They can really pass the basketball. The Celtics took Hugo Gonzalez at 28. Solid player. Liam McNeely at 29. Jonathan Gavoni labeled this as a surprise fall. I did not think that. Last month or so, I've mocked him anywhere from 26 to 30. And even one mock, I had him out of the first round. So this was not shocking to me that he fell this far. Charlotte surprisingly traded their starting center away, and then they drafted another white shooter. So the Hornets are small. And it's funny, I've talked about how important good center play is to win. The Hornets pivoted completely away from center play, and they don't have a starting center at this point. We'll see what they do tonight. They do have 2 picks in the top 34, so maybe they walk out with Reynaud or Kalkbrenner, and I feel a bit better about them, but we'll see. This was a huge reach here. Yannick Niederhauser for the Clippers is not – this is just not the pick that they should have made. I don't know. He's super athletic, but he's not super great at basketball, and I don't think he's going to have a huge NBA impact. Welcome, everyone, to the stream. Really do appreciate you guys a ton. That was our quick little recap here. Brian Gregory's greater than James Jones as a Suns fan. Hopefully this stays true. The Suns had a really good night. I thought so. Farzi here says Demon going 8, Pels trading a 2026 pick. A lot of crazy stuff, man. Crazy night 1. Coach Dreadhead says, what team do you think Jalen Green will get moved to? He will stay in Phoenix. The Suns will not be trading Jalen Green this offseason, I do not believe. E. Smith says, who do you think the Pelicans should draft with their second round? Just so we can see for New Orleans, they do have this pick 40. I would love Adou Thiero for them. I think that they need wing help. They need a couple more athletes around Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. I'd be looking small forward for them at this point, just based on what they have looked at. Could I summarize the trades of the day, which will impact the second round? So this trade right here, we had the Suns trade 2 future seconds for this pick from the Nets. I thought the Suns did really well in that trade. They traded seconds that aren't going to be super premium assets for a pretty high second round pick this year from Brooklyn, moving their assets up and toward the top of the second round this year. I thought was quite good for them. They also still have picks 52 and another one as well, I believe. 52, and I thought that they had one more. I don't know exactly where that. I might be mistaken on that. But that was a big one. The Lakers moved up to 45 from 55 and sent cash in that deal to the Bulls. So Chicago gets a little bit of money for their owner. Not sure I'd love that as a fan, but it's what happens. Fred, I appreciate you big time. Troy says, do you think the Spurs might trade back in? I do not think so. I would be pretty surprised by that, given the fact they traded pick 38 yesterday. Hunter Iggy says, utility sports, should Charlotte Hornets get a center? Yes, they need big forwards, and they need a center. They need more size on their team. Just more athleticism, more size. Tonight, I would love for them to walk out with Kalkbrenner or Reynaud, or maybe both of them. And I would love for them to walk out with Adou Thiero. I would feel really good about those picks for them. JJ says, yo, Sheldon, thoughts on the Kings picking up Nick Clifford? Like that for them a lot. Solid player, does a little bit of everything. I think he's going to have a lot of impact there for Sacramento. I thought it was a pretty good pickup at 24 for them. Dexy says, so at 31, Wolves go Rasheer Fleming, or we trade down a bit to get future picks and get Noah Penda or Adou Thiero. I think for the Wolves, Rasheer Fleming would obviously be awesome, but you can also look at like point of attack defense. And while they do have Jalen Clark that they'll probably introduce into the rotation a bit more even than they did this past year with the absence of Nikhil when he ultimately goes to Atlanta this offseason, I think that Minnesota's probably going to look for a perimeter defender at 31 if they trade down. But if they do move down, or if it's just Penda at that spot, it would make some sense given what I think is going to happen. JB says Amari Williams to the Lakers, please. He would be fun there for sure. Volcano says, Sheldon, what the Pelicans did was stupid. You traded an unprotected first-round pick next year. I mean, we'll see if next year if the pick that the Pelicans gives up becomes pick number 8, and they draft someone who's worse than Derek Queen next year. If Atlanta doesn't get a player as good as Derek Queen becomes, it wasn't a stupid trade. People would say the same thing. If you go back to the way that people reacted to the Mavericks moving up to number 3 and the Hawks, that's the last time the Hawks moved down. They got Trae Young and a future first-round pick from Dallas. That pick became Cam Reddish. So if the pick next year becomes a Cam Reddish level of player for Atlanta, it's not that stupid of a trade. I think it's actually a really great trade for New Orleans. It just depends on what happens with the lottery pick next year and if it moves up or not. Because if it moves up, then, oh my gosh, it's, the end of the world for New Orleans. But if it's pick 9 and the Hawks miss on it, it's not a big deal. So Luca Magic says, I hope the Pistons can get Kobe Brea. That would be fantastic for them, another shooter. Mason says, would you rather have Reynaud or Kalkbrenner for the Celtics? I think that they will prioritize Reynaud. Now, Kalkbrenner is a guy that, obviously played with Baylor Shireman in college. The two of them found a ton of success. They have very good synergy together on the floor. I wouldn't hate Kalkbrenner there, but I think that they will go with Reynaud between the two guys. And for those curious, the Celtics do have the second pick in the second round. So with both of them on the board, they should have, at the very worst, their choice of one of the two. Tyler Kendrick says, you think the Mavs try to move into the second round? I do think there's an okay chance of that, maybe for a point guard who's falling. I do think, this pick right here looks like Ryan Nembhard written all over it. Halliburton out this next season, a little bit of point guard opportunity. Andrew Nembhard's brother. Is this the draft floor for Ryan Nembhard this year? We will see. Big J says, Wizards had a good night. I'll be checking out your hoodie line. Thank you for the plug, Big J. I am going to throw it on the screen now. These are our brand new merch designs. Almost 500 people watching live. Really do appreciate you guys. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more. I will send this link in the chat right now. It's also the very top line of the description, so go check it out. If you want to get some of these utility sports designs, I put a lot of time and effort into these, especially with the idea that I wanted them to be cool designs, not just like, oh, here's my merch with my logo on it for utility sports. I wanted it to be like stuff that you could actually wear out and be like, hey, look at this cool basketball themed shirt sweatshirt I've got, or hoodie, like, dropping dimes, or is this the dagger kind of idea. This one always makes me think of the one on the left here. Always makes me think of Kawhi Leonard Kawhi Leonard shot from the corner, but there's so many other awesome daggers throughout NBA history, of course. Cosmic Hoops, Magnet Ball and Chain, kind of a little funny jab there too. Just a little joke. Don't take it serious. But yeah, I've got it in stickers, t-shirts, all that stuff. Also up on the site, we see this very live stream over here on the left. So hopefully you guys are enjoying. Thanks, Big J, again. Definitely would love for you to check that out if you guys want it. I've made the prices as cheap as I possibly could too for you guys so that it's affordable, because I don't want people spending all their hard-earned money and spending too much money for stuff that shouldn't cost too much money. So I made it as cheap as possible. Shout out to everybody for the follows yesterday, by the way, as well, over on Twitter. We came in yesterday with a little bit under 4,500 followers. It was a great day for us. I had a Yegor Demon tweet that went pretty viral. A lot of people not happy about it, but I understand why. So if you guys haven't already, be sure to go give me a follow over there on Twitter. Knicks fan says, I think Braille will be gone early tonight. Cher says, do you think there is something that came up in a medical assessment of Fleming, or why did he fall out of the first round? This is what I've talked about for Fleming. Thank you, by the way, Cher. This is what I've talked about with Fleming quite a bit. Like, I do think throughout the process, like, people have overlooked a lot of his flaws because they just say, oh, well, he's big, finishes plays, shoots a little bit. He can't dribble. There's really not a lot of offensive upside. He's just kind of a solid play finisher. Now, does it mean he's going to be bad? No, I think he's actually going to be pretty good. I had him 18th on my board, but I do think for teams to pass on him, it doesn't just mean it's a medical thing. They're looking at some of the deficiencies, some of the flaws. He cannot drive the ball. He really can't pass the basketball. Those are two really damaging things for him come playoff time, probably. So it's sensible to have concerns about him. And for teams passing on him, I don't think that is completely misplaced. So Hassel says, who do you see the Pacers who managed to acquire number 38 going with tonight? Like I said, I think Ryan Nembhard is a real target for them. Mud Dog says, what's up, Sheldon? Great job on all the coverage so far. Just dropped a like. Appreciate you big time, Mud Dog. Brian K says, where do you think Vlad Golden goes? Not a lot of decent centers left. Just looking back over for Vlad Golden and some of the teams that could potentially consider him. Charlotte could be one that looks at him tonight. You could look at a team like Toronto, maybe looking for more of another traditional big man behind Jakob Poeltl. I don't think the Pelicans would. The Warriors could be looking for size. Maybe that could be a landing spot. But as we move down the board, maybe the Bucks. They don't have a single center on roster right now. Brook Lopez is an unrestricted free agent, so maybe Milwaukee if they're looking for a big man. Cavaliers could for depth at the center spot long term. The Knicks, I don't think they would. The Clippers just spent a first rounder on Conan Niederhauser. The Suns would not at this point, I don't think. Maybe Orlando for depth, maybe Houston for depth. Yeah, just kind of, it's a few teams I could see looking at Golden as depth. Worst case, if he goes undrafted, he'll be a high priority UDFA for some team for sure. Javier says, what do you think of the Heat's draft so far? Do you think they'll try to move into the second to get Fleming or Thiero? I don't think Miami will move into the second. They're already kind of working in an asset deficit to begin with a little bit. I think the best thing for them is to probably be patient unless obviously the best thing for me based on my board for them would to be get Thiero or Fleming because I have Thiero at 11, Fleming at 18. But given the likelihood of this, my guess is they're going to hold on to the assets that they do have. And just be happy that they got Jakob Jonas at 20. I thought it was a great pick for them. Gave them an A+. He fell a little bit in the draft, and they got a player who fits them really, really well. Mosen says we need to see Ryan Nembhard go to the Pacers to eventually replace McConnell. He's been spending time with the team, so it's quite possible. Of course, brother of Andrew Nembhard, so I'm sure that Andrew Nembhard would be pushing for that too. Chris says, what's up, Sheldon? I'm upset as a Nets fan. There is one silver lining if you're a Nets fan, and this is one thing. I don't love the night one for the Nats, but I did talk about this in my winners and losers video. I didn't like the value of Demon and Traore, but noted how much playmaking this team was able to snag. Wolf ties it together with his dribble pass shoot skills. Connectivity and ball movement helps overcome talent deficits. This is their assist percentage percentile for their position. Demon, elite passer. Traore, very good passer. This is, again, assist percentage, so it's not the best way to gauge passing, but it is, I think, respectable. Powell is not a passer, but you get the two-way play with him as a play finisher as well. And then you get Seraph and Wolf. You're getting 2 or 4 really good playmaking connective pieces altogether. So, even though I don't love their night, if you want to look at it from a positive viewpoint and a positive spin, there is some real playmaking juice there, and connectivity does go a long way in helping you win in the postseason. So, Chris, you can still try and sell yourself on it. Michael says, why is everyone all over the Pelicans? I don't get it. A toss-up pick next year. See, that's the thing, is that it just comes down to how the toss-up goes. Like, if that toss-up ends up giving Atlanta a top 3 pick, then it's terrible for New Orleans. But if it isn't a top 3 pick, like, you have to feel pretty good, I think, if you're the Pelicans. Brennan says, I absolutely love Clifford's suit, and the pick we gave up to get him was fine. Yeah, I think Sacramento was pretty effective in their strategy. Anthony says, Sheldon, do you think the Heat can get a second-round pick for either Duncan or Jaime? They're not going to trade Jaime. Jaime is there to stay. I don't think you'll get a second-round pick for Duncan. If anything, this trade deadline, they'll use Duncan or Wiggins for trades. Wiggins could maybe even get moved tonight to the Lakers. We'll see. If a player gets traded tonight, I think the biggest one would be Wiggins. John Lewis says, vibing with Fleming or Thiero for the Wolves, but they'll trade it. Not sure about Behringer. Disappointed in the summer so far, not closing the OKC gap. Well, that's a big gap to close, first of all, John. Thank you so much for the 5. I really do appreciate you, but that is a large gap to close. We saw just how big that gap was in the Western Conference Finals, unfortunately, for Minnesota. And that's going to be one of the challenges for the Wolves. They're kind of in that spot right now where they're a really great team, back-to-back Western Conference Finals runs. It's hard to do. It's very hard to get deep in the playoffs year after year. You look at the past champions. The Celtics didn't make it to the conference finals this year. Go back the year prior. The Denver Nuggets didn't make it to the conference finals. The Lakers haven't made it to the conference finals for a while. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker never made it to the conference finals together. That's something Minnesota is accomplishing. So they're very close. But at the same time, there's still a definitive canyon-sized gap almost between them and Oklahoma City. So it's going to be tough. I do think Thiero or Fleming would help with that, especially Thiero in terms of his space coverage, the intensity, the possession winning. That's something that could kind of match the tone, match the energy and intensity that OKC plays with a bit. I would love that for them, but I'm not sure if they're actually going to do it. Tom says, what's up, brah? How are we feeling about my Grizzlies pick? Heard one dude saying he's Jordan and Kobe. I don't think that, but I do think Cedric Howard is good. I think he's a very talented player, shot the ball really well throughout his entire college career. That stayed true in his short tenure at Washington State, where he only played 6 games. But he shot the ball very well for multiple years, going back to his time at Eastern Washington and even prior to that. So I like Cedric Howard. I think he's a very good player, and I thought, Memphis really liked him enough to move up to make sure they got him. And even though, they gave up maybe a little more than I would have liked to trade up for him, I still thought it was very, very good. How do you not bring up Mark Williams only played 108 games? So this is the thing. That doesn't matter. I know this is going to sound crazy, but the past, how much they played doesn't really indicate their value. Phoenix trading for a guy who's missed a lot of time, that doesn't mean he's guaranteed to miss time for them. Now, is it a kind of insight on maybe being more likely to miss time? Yes, but it's also the same thing for contracts. For example, would you give DeMar DeRozan $55 million a year this offseason because he's a former All-NBA guy? No, because you're looking at the future, not the past. And that's why when you evaluate a trade, you don't look at how much time a guy has missed because of injuries until you get some of the most lopsided trades in NBA history. Look at how Chicago acquired Dennis Rodman and some of the reasons why Detroit was okay with doing something like that. There's, you look at the past, it leads you to bad mistakes. The Bulls won a bunch of championships with Dennis Rodman. I'm not saying Mark Williams is Dennis Rodman. I'm not saying the Suns are going to win a bunch of championships. I'm just talking about how trades need to be future-centered instead of past-centered. Real Ruben says, bro, Queen was my guy in this draft. It kind of broke my heart when he fell and the Hawks traded the pick. Now I kind of like the trade for Atlanta. See, that's the thing is I definitely understand. I like Queen a lot too. I would have wanted him on my team. But that trade was a very, very good one for Atlanta to ultimately walk away with. With the huge dressing, with the Heat drafting Yakuchonis, do you think he starts right away at point guard? I do think he will play a lot, maybe not start immediately day one, but I do think he will start games for them as a rookie for sure. Silver Jaguar says, I'm manifesting the Mavs trading into the second and drafting Nembhard. B says, if you were the Lakers, would you trade Connect to the Wolves for Kalkbrenner, 31st pick? I would not trade Connect if I was the Lakers. I think Dalton Connect actually had a pretty good rookie season. and I would be focused on putting him into the rotation. I think one of the biggest issues with the Lakers, yes, they struggled against the Wolves in round one. A lot of that stemmed from their size, rebounding, rim protection, defensive intensity, and defensive integrity. They also didn't make enough threes. Playing Dalton Connect would have helped them. They didn't. It just didn't make sense. This is the thing, dude. Like, this is the other point. Like, I know Mark Williams wasn't, like, going to turn the Hornets into a 45-50 win team. The issue now is you have Yusuf Nurkic and the cap hold of Taj Gibson. Like, what I can promise you right now, the Hornets have one of the 4 worst records in the league next year because they don't have a center. And unless they do something drastic and get Nick Claxton, get Clint Capella, which that's not even really drastic, but it would at least fill the gap. Like, they're not going to win games because they don't have good center play. Nape says, ready for me to give another hot take tonight? Yeah, Nape, you nailed it yesterday. Let me see if I wonder if I can find that. That was insane. I wonder if I can. Nape, can you tag me in that again, quick, so that I can find it? I need to put it up on stream here because it was. Nape called the Hanson Yang pick yesterday, which was insane. Let me see if I can find it now. Tag me in that, Nape, so I can see it. I'll be watching for it over here on Twitter. Absolutely crazy. I don't think Claxton will get traded to the Hornets. Just not expecting that tonight, to be honest. JJ says, I really hope Adou falls to my Kings. Probably will not, though. Thiero, man, is a great athlete. Would really love to see him land in a spot that gives him opportunity immediately. So I think he can fully play. Ramon says, can the Cavs do anything to help them? They're looking for depth. The point of the Cavs this draft specifically, one, they might look for a Max Strus salary dump tonight. That would help them try and maybe dip out of the second apron. And then on top of that, they're looking at using their second round picks to get cheap players. So Chuckster says, I've watched clips on both Rasheer, Fleming, and Adou Thiero. Both seem a little bit raw, albeit Rasheer's wingspan is insane. Adou looks like the better player at this point to me. I do agree with this, Chuckster. I do think Thiero is just extremely functional, a lot of talent and a lot of impact. And those are the things that really draw me to him as a prospect. Veritify says, Endless, what did your fiance say about your favorite holiday of the year, the 2-day draft? She's all in on it. She is all in on it. Nape, thank you so much. Yeah, look at this. This was him yesterday. Let's see if I can get the time on it. 4:05 p.m. Eastern time yesterday. So 4 hours before the draft, Hanson Yang called it. Nape called it for Hanson Yang going in the first round. I'm going to repost that again. Up to 51,000 views. Let's see if I can pull this up too. Yeah, he literally called it yesterday. I sent this tweet. This is that was insane, Nape. That's an all-time legend. That's an all-time legend call right there. So shout out to you, my man. That was awesome that you predicted that and called it. I think you were one of the only people who expected Hanson Yang to go in round one. Hornets starting center Yusuf Nurkic. Yeah, that's not pretty. Who do I see Indy picking at 38? Ryan Nembhard is the guy I like for them. Ziaco says Suns have 36, 52, and 59, I think. See, that's what I thought. I thought they had oh, that's right. They got that's right. This is not updated over here. For some reason, let me go down. This should be the Phoenix Suns pick here too from the Durant trade, I'm pretty sure. So yes, you're right, Ziaco. Thanks for correcting me there. I don't understand why the Clippers took Yannick when you have the best talent available. I hate that the Clips front office chooses based on need and athleticism when he's clearly not going to contribute or be ready. The Clippers have burned a lot of late first-round picks. Daniel Aturu, I think, was an early second, but Fiondu Kabanyele, they took Kobe Brown 30th overall. He's not any good. I mean, they just did it again last night with Yannick Conan Niederhauser. So Nick here says the Wolves were reportedly shopping 31 around, according to Windy. Definitely could see that. Minnesota would be probably looking for a collection of seconds down the road to increase their long-term trade flexibility. Cebu Ciso says, who should the Pistons get? Kobe Brea, one of my favorite players in this draft. Let's go take a look at some of the best players available in this year's draft. Really do appreciate you guys all so much for hopping into the stream. Just really, I'm very grateful for all of you. Let's go back over to my big board now. Here we go. We will zoom in. All right, so the 11th best player on my board, Adou Thiero, is still available. This is, again, not the most shocking thing. In a majority of my mock drafts, he was going around pick 29 to Phoenix. So, with the Suns trading out of that pick completely last night and trading it to the Hornets, it kind of took away one of the spots that I continually mocked Thiero in my mock draft. So it's not completely shocking that Thiero's here in the second round. I talked at length in my Guys video saying that he was going to return value better than his draft slot, which of course indicates that I did not expect him to be drafted super high, and that played out here. I do think he will be awesome, though. Look at OG Anunoby, look at where he was drafted, return much better value for his draft slot. Adou Thiero for me is kind of an OG Anunoby light, not quite the shooter that Anunoby was coming into the NBA. Definitely not the shooter that Anunoby was, but very skilled, very talented in a lot of other areas, which is what I like. Fleming still on the board. He was my number 18 player in the draft. I do see slight starter upside for him, but worst case scenario, he's a solid role player. I think very safe floor because of how long and big he is and how effective he is as a cutter. Kobe Brea, for me, I have at 22. This is the guy that I want the Pistons to get today. An elite movement shooter, an absolute sniper, someone who can really shoot the lights out of the basketball and shoot the leather off of it. Just very good player. Super functional. His final year at Dayton in the Atlantic 10, he had over a 70% true shooting percentage, which is unheard of. It was one of the best college basketball seasons ever for a guard on his or for a wing, in terms of efficiency and stuff. It was unreal. Super high 3-point rate, shot at 48% on threes that year. It's unbelievable stuff. Ryan Kalkbrenner still available. This is a guy who I think is firmly going to be a backup big man in his career, which I like. This is part of the issue still for Charlotte. Let's say that they do take Kalkbrenner tonight. He's still not a starting caliber big for me, but he at least helps fill in the spot a bit. Mark Sears, I do think someone who's going to be an awesome bench point guard for a team. Now, the question is, will he ever get that opportunity fully? He might not, which is why that floor is a bit lower. But this is a guy who's really good. I know people are going to say, oh, well, he struggled against Duke, this, that, and the other thing. I get it, but he's just a good player. I'm going to zoom out my board a little bit so you can look at some more of the guys who are available here in the second round. You are going to notice a pretty significant drop-off kind of in this range, and I do think that's a testament to guys like Yaxel Lindeberg, Boogie Fland, LeBaron Philon, Alex Caravan, some of those guys pulling out of the draft, some international guys like Nicholas Abdulas, a few others as well. So, the draft kind of got thinned out a little bit. You get down into the mid-40s and 50s, you're looking at guys who probably aren't going to stick for very long, if at all. Mimicking here says, Utility Sports, what should my Pelicans do? And thanks for all the great coverage. Appreciate you. The Pelicans do have pick number 40 tonight to work with, and I think for them you're looking at just a little bit more length and athleticism to surround, maybe some shooting too. I do think they could use some shooting, so we'll see where they go. SP says, would you draft an 18-year-old who's played his whole life, or a 21-year-old who's been only playing for 6 years, less mileage? The 18-year-old is just slightly better. I would draft probably the 18-year-old, but this is I don't know. This is one of those tricky things. There's a lot more to drafting than just experience and age. So it would depend on their traits. I'm assuming here that you're saying they're identical players, basically. They're all good at the same things, all this, all that. One's just older, or one's older with less experience, one's younger with more experience. I would just take the younger guy still in that. But I do understand your question. I think there's a lot more at play than just age, obviously. But if all else was equal, for the most part, I would take the 18-year-old. Sylvester here says, who do you think the Sixers are going to take? For Philly, they have the 76ers have the 35th pick. So this is the thing. Second round mocks are very hard, very challenging. I think someone like Sion James could help them a ton. Here's Sion on my board. I do want to show I do want to show him off. He's at number 35 right here. Sion James, I think, would be really good for them. He's a get after it kind of defender. I think that would be valuable for them at that spot for sure. Appreciate you, Sylvester. Goofy says, hey, Sheldon, how much does a high second round pick cost? And some teams like the Lakers are moving up kind of like nothing. It just kind of depends on the team. San Antonio was willing to move out for a couple future assets. This is where trade valuation is just different across the league. Some teams, they look at second round picks as super useful. I think Boston's one of those teams. And then other teams kind of light second round picks on fire. And that's exactly what we saw earlier as the Lakers were able to trade up to pick number 45 with Chicago. And the Bulls got some cash out of that deal, which is crazy to me, but that's how it works. Trevor says, I know we're assuming they'll be in the lottery, especially because Murray is out, but the Pelicans could be a surprise team if Zion plays games. They were a 1 seed not too long ago. The issue is they just never stay the 1 seed. Now, if New Orleans, like the other issue is they're really young, Trevor. And I don't think Jordan Poole makes them more likely to win games in the West. So, obviously that's an optimistic viewpoint. I do understand it too, because when the Pelicans have been good, they've been very good. A lot of that's been defensive oriented. I'm not sure if that team defense is going to hold up at this point, especially playing young guys a ton. But, if they make the playoffs, then it makes the Derek Queen trade great. But I still, I'm not even that pessimistic about the Derek Queen trade. I really like Derek Queen. I'm just worried if you give up Dybonsa or Boozer or Peterson for him, you lost the trade. Garo here says, who do you think the Celtics are taking at 32? For the Celtics at 32, I think Maxime Renaud will be the pick. Nathan here says Dink Pate to the Jazz. I like it. Dink Pate, interesting long-term developmental talent for sure. Let's go back over to Twitter. I think Nape tweeted at us. Remember, he had the hot take yesterday. We'll see. We're going to test it again. Oh, wow. We have a trade. The Suns move up again. Okay, thank you guys for tagging me in this. Wow. Here is the trade. Shams Charania. I'm not going to say that. Shams News. I'm going to say that instead. Trade alert. Suns now hold picks 36 and 41 tonight. I have loved their approach to the NBA draft this year. Basically recouped very interesting. I like this a lot for the Suns. I don't love this for the Warriors, but it's not like bad. If I was grading it, I'd probably give like an A+ to the Suns on a, not every A+ is the same, by the way. An A+ on a huge trade is obviously much more meaningful, but it's an A+, making these smart, small margin moves is very good. I really like that for Phoenix. Thank you everyone for tagging me over there. Isaiah as well. Thank you so much for tagging me. Shout out to Shams for all of the reporting work that he does. Obviously does a great job with that. But I look at that. The last two trades here have been Phoenix. Phoenix has been very active and I think a lot more resourceful this time as well. That's something that is standing out to me. They're just being a lot more kind of poignant with their decisions. Here's the take for tonight, second round, and I haven't seen this guy mocked a lot for the second round. Grant Nelson will get drafted tonight. I like it. I'm going to try and put that in the bookmarks even, Nate, so I can come back to it when he does get drafted tonight. I think he's super tools. I do think he will get drafted as well. I actually share that sentiment with you. He did make my final board as well at number 42 right here. So I think he's a draftable player tonight. 6'10", super athlete. Not the most functional athlete, but he jumps well. And there's definitely something there. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Derek Jones Jr. 2B wants to know what time the action starts. We are an hour and 10 minutes away right now. It starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and it is 6:50 Eastern time right now as I am streaming. Appreciate everyone for hopping in tonight. The plan is to be streaming for at least the first half of the second round. tonight. Big J, appreciate you being in here. Dropping dimes, says Spoonfed. Nathan says Lowry trade incoming. All right, I will try to remember this. I will try to remember this. But thanks for letting us know you're using your dad's phone. Aiden says, who do you think Charlotte should take with 33 and 34? Based on my board, I would love for them to end up with any of Rasheer Fleming, Adou Thiero, Maxime Reynaud, or Ryan Kalkbrenner. Of course, putting a little bit of positional value on those centers right now based on what they have in their room. Enigmatical, that's pretty good right there. It's pretty funny. I love chat, man. You guys are hilarious. Yesterday's selection / trade back, our trade back-to-back hit like crack. Honestly, like that. I'm actually going to tweet this real quick too. That Maluwatch, Mark Williams news back-to-back gave me flashbacks to PG Kawhi reporting all at once. Insane timing of some awesome moves. Not quite the same downside for the Suns. That was pretty crazy, Oracle. Appreciate you being in here. Shawnee wants to know about a good target for the Pelicans at number 14, or at number 40, excuse me. At number 40, I mean, I would like Sion James for them. I think he'd be a value pick. Tyrese Proctor wouldn't be bad as kind of a wing who can shoot and handle the ball a bit. Nembhard's point of attack defense, I think, would be valuable. Yeah, those are kind of the guys. The further down my board you get, the less likely that, I'm going to love those selections for you. But, Javon Small is kind of a guy that a lot of people are in love with a little bit. Chaz Lanier could be functional, at least kind of a poor man's Jordan Hawkins. So probably not the most exciting way to summarize him, but it's the truth. Man, I was just very excited for the Suns last night. I thought the Suns had a great draft, all things considered. If you guys don't follow over on Twitter, make sure to go do so right now. Troy here says, what do you think the Spurs will do to address the backup center need? Probably someone in free agency on the minimum, just getting a little bit of depth. DePip says, who are the Cavs taking? So Cleveland tonight has a second-round pick, or actually two of them at 49 and 58 in this year's draft. So with those two selections, probably looking at a backup big man. That could be where you see an Amari Williams or Rocco Zikarsky, possibly. And then you also are looking at probably either, I would say probably a point guard, a backup point guard. So Javon Small, LJ Cryer wouldn't be a bad pick. I like him a little bit. Yeah. Appreciate you big time for calling me the GOAT. You're an absolute legend. Steve says, what player drafted tonight could you see develop well in the G League and be a contributor in 2 years for a contender? Well, pretty much everyone tonight will be playing in the G League at some point. Like, the G League is a very prominent tool now for teams in the NBA. I don't think they're using it fully correctly, to be completely honest with you. But yeah. The reason I wasn't more savage on the Pelicans, they got the guy who is third on my board. So, let's just say hypothetically they traded up and drafted Carter Bryant, who had at 14. I would say, well, that was terrible. Even though I like Carter Bryant, but would I have traded what they did to get Carter Bryant? No. But if Derek Queen's as good as I think he is, which I'm very confident in my analysis on him, as long as they don't send a top 3 pick next year, it's going to be a good trade. So, any chance Markovic gets picked up by the Suns? Possibly. They need forwards. I really think the best case for the Suns is they get Adou Thiero. That's what I really want. I really want Phoenix to get Adou Thiero. If they get Adou Thiero, I'm going to be over the moon. Markovic, smart player, really high IQ, shoots the ball pretty well, connective, short roll passer. I think if he gets with a creative coach and actually gets opportunity, he's going to be awesome. That's just the one thing that concerns me, though, is when you have a talented player like this, it's just all about opportunity. Does he actually get on the court? how many touches does he get per minute? How many touches does he get per game? And if it's not a lot, then his impact's probably down, right? So, and then the question is, how does he stick in the league at that point? If you're not a super high energy effort defender, the league has kind of simplified itself, and that's good in a lot of ways for certain teams, and it's good for the style of play, and it's good for maximizing your team's success. But it also hurts individual players, and I do think it will hurt Markovic a little bit. Do I think the Jazz drafting Pate? I mean, possibly. I don't definitively know that they will or won't. They have pick 53, so he'll be kind of in that realm. On my big board, he's in the 50s at number 52 down here. And will they trade Lowry? I don't think that they will trade Lowry. JH says I'd like to see them get Sion James at 53. The Jazz need to improve their defense. Sion James would literally help them. Like, Sion James could play for them next year, like actual real minutes. He's better than Bryce Sensabaugh. So, yeah, he definitely would be a steal. JH says Javon Small would be fantastic for Indiana. That's the thing about Javon Small is if he does get an opportunity, I could see him sticking. And right now, Indiana might be the spot. Javon Small would be the Indiana would be the spot right now that could actually give him minutes because of Halliburton's injury. So that would definitely be interesting if he got on the court a little bit. Kay Osborne says, how do you feel about the Blazers pick? Hanson Yang, it was a little early for me. Let me see if I can scroll down to my grades here. I have to be careful with the video of stuff, but I give them a C+. So I didn't have Yang super high on my own individual board, but I understand the idea here. And if the development goes right, he's very talented. There's a lot to like from a production standpoint in the CBA, which doesn't mean a whole lot to me. But if you look at Duop Reith, he was super productive in the CBA as well. But this is a guy who has some skill for sure. So I don't want to completely hit on the pick. Jan wants to know who I think the Knicks will take. They definitely could be another Sion James team. You're going to notice I referenced Sion James quite a bit. Let me see where the Knicks had their second rounder stripped at 56. So they don't have that pick, but they do have pick number 50 tonight. So Sion James probably won't be on the board at that point. So another name that I do like for them. If it's not Sion James, maybe someone like Cam Jones is another ball handler if he makes it that far. Grant Nelson as a developmental pick, even though he's older. Jackson Robinson, they probably just need wing depth. So you're looking Jackson Robinson, maybe a Jameer Watkins, who I'm a little bit lower on than everybody else, but I understand some of the intrigue there. Those are kind of the guys that I would highlight as you're looking at wing defensive-oriented, defensive-minded players for New York at pick 50 if they do it. Okay, here. Oh, wow. The Suns move up. Wow, holy cow. Wow, this is a big trade. Suns move all the way up to the top of the second round for a certain somebody. Grade will hinge on who it is, but I love third trade of the day for them. That's crazy. Look at that. Big trade here. Now the Phoenix Suns have the first pick in the second round. Wolves do well. Oh, whoops, I cannot type. Wolves do well getting 36 and 2 future 2s for 431. I like that for Minnesota, and I love it for Phoenix. Let me update the banner here on the bottom. I'm going to take that off for a quick second. So at 31 here, it is the Phoenix Suns. And then at 36 now, it is reportedly traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the Timberwolves now hold pick 36. And then we also have to update 41. Minnesota Timberwolves now at 36. This is now the Phoenix Suns at 41. And then that means at 52 and 59, we have the Warriors and the Warriors again at 59. There we go. So that should now be updated there. The Phoenix Suns now hold the first pick of the second round tonight. Really like that. Fleming to the Sun. Oh, here we go. We have the news. Suns War Room right now is eyeing St. Joseph's big man Rasheer Fleming at number 31, finalizing their research and scouting before making their selection at 8 p.m. Eastern time today. Wow. Okay. Rasheer Fleming, draft grade A+. Fleming finished the Suns aggressively. I do not need that there. The Suns aggressively target a big forward, big hybrid, and now land him at pick 31. Love what Phoenix has accomplished the last week. That's huge for the Suns, man. That's awesome for the Suns. So Rasheer Fleming is going to be the pick, it sounds like. I do feel pretty confident with Shams reporting, obviously, which is why I'm willing to tweet that, because Shams is, if he's tweeting it, he's probably not wrong. Really think this is a good, solid pick for them. The Suns get bigger again. They need more length. They need more size. Really like this. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. Fra here says whoever takes Kalkbrenner is going to get a steal. Jaime says, hey again, man, how has the day been going? Who do you think the Lakers target with their new pick? I think they're going to look at a big man. Rocco Zikarsky is a name that I definitely think is possible. Dunbar, welcome to the stream, says, can the Bucks dump Kuzma? I don't think so. I think he'll be with them going into this next season. Jan Silva says, when are you dropping the first 2026 mock draft? Tomorrow morning. 700 people watching live. We have a Phoenix Suns trade and a big one. Rasheer Fleming, of course, going to the Phoenix Suns here. Appreciate you all so much for hopping in. I'm going to try and update the thumbnail here live too while we are going. Appreciate you all so much for watching, for hopping into the stream here today. We are going to be streaming throughout the second round today as well. So this is the place you're going to want to be for the draft. If you're looking for coverage, if you're looking for, to learn more about the prospects as the picks are made and everything, this is where you're going to want to be. So stay tuned, right? So stay tuned. Let me try and find Rasheer Fleming. Let me get the screen picture of him in. I'm going to try and update the thumbnail here. Welcome everyone live. 700 plus people watching right now. You guys are all absolutely awesome. Huge thank you to everyone for tuning in. Really do appreciate you guys big time today for hopping in. Let me know your thoughts on the trade news here. Of course, the trade with the Suns moving all the way up to pick number 31 to ultimately get Rasheer Fleming out of St. Joseph's. Does not fall too far out of the first round. He is going to be the first pick here of the second round tonight, according to Shams Charania. And this is a deal that I like a lot for Phoenix. This is a guy that I think is going to help them pretty significantly. This is a player that I was pretty high on my board. I had him at number 18, and he's going to help them for sure. So very excited about that pickup. Really think he's a solid player, someone who can be, a key piece for them going into next season. And I think that will be a very beneficial addition for them. So let me Rasheer Fleming front and center here on the thumbnail now. Welcome everyone to the stream. Thanks for all holding in here while I'm working on the thumbnail here on my phone, trying to get it set up in a way that works. Should just take me another minute or so. Again, let me know your thoughts of that trade, that news in the comment section. Appreciate you all so much again today. Here's my draft grade again for the for the Suns as well, getting Rasheer Fleming at pick 31. I do like quite a bit for them. Thumbnail should now be updated. If you guys want to check it out, if you go to the channel, you should be able to see that new updated thumbnail or refresh your stream. Appreciate you guys all so much for being in here. Easy Beezy says, happy birthday, man. W content always. Wolves have a daunting choice. They ultimately made that choice. Of course, your comment was before then. Rebel Video says, you rock. Was surprised Bryant fell to the Spurs yesterday. How do you see him fitting in with the roster? Super well. If you look at his role at Arizona, super low volume, super low usage. That's exactly what the Spurs are kind of envisioning with him, in my estimation. So I think the Suns have done really well, man. Yes, I would pay Austin Reeves $30 million a year. Guess they gave up on Bull finally. Bull is not any good, but he's fun. I mean, just not any good. Shams said Fleming. Thank you, Aquino, as well for tagging me over there. It was not Adou Thiero, but it was Rasheer Fleming, and I absolutely love that for the Suns. I think this is very good. 700 plus people watching live. Pluto says, I just joined the stream, so I hope I'm not asking a question that's already been asked, but what are your thoughts on Utah taking Ace? I think I gave it a B plus yesterday. I think Ace has some functional tools that make him a safe player, an okay player for them to target in the top 6. I don't love it for them at number 5. Admittedly, I'm not like super high on him myself, but I think he's a solid player. So I can't I'm not going to be a complete hater either because I think he is pretty good. SP says Thiero to the Raptors would be fun. Yes, he would be. Easy Beezy says both Thiero and Fleming are Wolves. Not anymore, they're not. Fleming is a Phoenix Sun. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Of course, the trades have gone down. Hot take. Interesting. And I switched my fandom, says Sam. That's funny. Lachlan says Rocco will go before pick 38. He's long and tall. Definitely will have some interest from NBA teams. Stands at about 7'4", so definitely is going to help quite a bit. Will, I'm not sure. I don't expect Dallas to, but you never know. They did it for Jaden Hardy a few years ago, so it's definitely not impossible. Anthony says, Sheldon, what are your thoughts on some of these NBA channels grading Miami an F for drafting Yakuchonis? I mean, it's not an F. They should not have gotten an F for that. Braden says, Blazers, please do something. I think Yakuchonis is quite good as a player. Soul Train says, do you like the pairing of Jace Richardson and Anthony Black? I like the pairing of Jace Richardson with Paulo Banchero. It's funny, many mocks ago, probably like 6 months ago even, I said the best case for Jace Richardson is to land next to a big point forward. He gets that in Orlando, so I thought that was tremendous. Larry, thank you for the 5. Thank you so much. Says, what do you think about my Sixers? VJ, what will we do at 35? First of all, I thought Edgecombe was a pretty good pick for them. Not necessarily the pick I would have made, but I definitely understand the intrigue there. Super athlete, functional player, gets out in transition and runs, has real impact defensively. Could be one of the better long-term two-way players in this class. So that investment at number 3, I don't think is out of, it's not a terrible one by any stretch. It's definitely an understandable one. 35 is a huge wild card right now. I do think a young backup big man, they did it last year with the Dembona. They might look into the front court again. Now with Fleming off the board, though, that kind of complicates things a little bit. So we'll see which way they go, Larry. But thank you so much for the 5. Joel here says, best fit for the Spurs in day 2. So as of right now, the Spurs do not have a second-round pick. So the guy who I think would fit best for them would be Kobe Bryant, an off-the-ball shooter. But not sure if that's going to materialize, unfortunately. Yes, Fleming is off the board, seemingly 31st overall to the Phoenix Suns. I think the Suns are doing very well today. Thought they did very well yesterday as well. I like Rasheer Fleming a lot. Let me see if I have. I had some videos prepped for some of these guys. Let me see if I can find my Rasheer Fleming. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find it now. I should have put this onto my computer before the stream, but I forgot. Oh, actually, maybe I am able to find it here. Let's share this, and let's go over here quick. Let's drag this guy in, and boom. Little bit of Rasheer Fleming fun. This, I think, is just like a little 10-second video. I've been trying to grab like one fun clip or one good clip of each player as much as I can. Now, obviously, I don't have every guy like readily set up. Like, it's hard to do it all like live reactionary. What a good pick and roll defensive play from Fleming. I can't show that too much because I'll get in trouble with copyright, but you got to see a sneak peek. Don't tell anybody. HL0 says, let's go Suns. Rasheer Fleming to Phoenix confirmed. Dunn and Fleming together is very fun. Dexy here says, okay, so Wolves at 36 will go Penda or Thiero. That's why I think this trade was really good for Minnesota. If they weren't planning on drafting Fleming themselves, then they just walk away with whoever they might have taken anyway at 31 and get extra second rounders. Ankle here says Spurs top 3 best young core in the NBA. Yes, I definitely believe so. Of course, Wembanyama carries a lot of that weight. Johnny wants to know 3 big men. I look at Fleming more as a power forward with some small ball 5s potential. So I wouldn't look at it too much through the lens of him as a center. Larry Love says, with the $5, thank you so much, Larry, again, says, what's your take on Ryan Kalkbrenner? I like him at 35. Reminds me of Luke Cornett. I think he's, interestingly enough, he's even a little bit more of a dominant inside force than Cornett. If you look at a lot of the advanced analytics this year, which is why Kalkbrenner, for me, ended up 26th on my final big board. Super dominant at the rim. Really carried Creighton the last few years as a rim finisher. It's impossible. Go back and watch some Baylor, Shireman, Creighton film. You're going to see a lot of Ryan Kalkbrenner catching lobs, throwing down dunks, screen and roll. Super functional. This is a guy who is built to play backup center in the NBA. And I think, for a team at 35 for Philadelphia, could definitely be functional. But you look across the early second round, Boston at 32, I would like. Charlotte at 33 or 34. Sixers at 35. The Wolves at 36. Probably wouldn't need him now after drafting Behringer last night, but I wouldn't be mad even for depth purposes. Detroit at 37. Pacers at 38, I think, make a lot of sense. That's probably as far as you can expect him to fall. Maybe Toronto at 39 is the true floor, but he's going to go in the first 10 picks tonight, I would be very certain. Michael says, who are the Pelicans going to take at 40? Thank you, Michael, for the $2 super chat. At 40 for New Orleans, I do think they're going to look wing. Sion James is a guy that I like. If Noah Penda makes it that far, he will probably be the guy. But I kind of think Jackson Robinson will be in play for them. I have a kind of weird gut feeling about that tonight. So we will see. But Jackson Robinson at 40 is kind of my gut instinct right now. There's definitely other options. Like, I could also see Joe Dumars going with like Eric Dixon, but my gut is telling me Jackson Robinson at number 40. Appreciate you guys all so much for tuning in right now, watching. Over 700 people watching live. Again, we will be actually live during the second round of the draft tonight, reacting to live picks and everything. So I'm very excited. I hope you guys are having a great time. We will be showing off everything that you need to know for these streams. In the stream, I'll be grading every pick live, all of that. So I hope you guys are enjoying. I'm going to send out a tweet real quick too, just so that everybody is aware and knows. But Let me try and get that link real quick too. Welcome everybody. If you're just stopping in for the first time, I hope you do enjoy the content here today. Try and make this such a welcoming place, so I really hope you guys all do enjoy. Just having a lot of fun today. It's great covering the NBA draft. I actually do love that it's a 2-day event now too. Mr. Ray says, hit that like button, by the way, folks. You guys heard him. Everyone smash that like button. I'm going to check how many likes we are at on the stream as well. Have big expectations. We're at 170 likes. I know we can do way better than that. Yesterday, we got over 550 likes yesterday. So we have a lot more to go, but I think we can make a good dent into that right now. I'm going to set a little 3-minute timer here on my phone. Hold on. Let me get this set up here. We're doing a little 3 minutes and 9-second timer. Okay. I don't know if you guys are able to see that. In 3 minutes and 9 seconds, don't mind my other timers. In 3 minutes and now just 3 minutes flat, I'm going to recheck the likes. I want to see that number at least doubled from what we're at right now. We're at 170. I know we can get to 340 in 3 minutes. Sleepify says on odds on a Bradley Beal trade, not very likely, but I do think a stretch and wave is possible, and that would give Phoenix a little bit of cap flexibility short term. So Curry says, yo, my goat, is your Domino's order Alfredo steak bacon or was it chicken? So I like Alfredo steak bacon. That's one of the two that I got last night. Of course, Super Chatters came in huge and helping me get some of that pizza last night. But then also I do chicken and steak as well, or chicken and sausage. That's kind of the little optionality you get. Lachlan, thank you so much for the one. Really do appreciate you watching over here in the U.S. I believe that's an Australian one. So I'm sure you're watching big time for Rocco Zikarsky tonight. Maybe Alex Tui, a couple of the NBL guys. Appreciate you guys big time. CJ here says Gambo says Fleming also. Let me pull up Gambo quick. Oh, that is not what I wanted, please. All right, thank you. I got scared because I did not see what I clicked. Gambo here covers the Phoenix Suns. So if you guys aren't following him, make sure to go do so. Yes, and the Phoenix Suns had Rasheer Fleming rated as the top 20 player on their draft board. Let's see here. I didn't even read what any of that said, but I wanted to post that. Rasheer Fleming will be going to the Phoenix Suns. Sleepify says, what point guards can the Suns realistically target? Would they have assets to acquire Lonzo Ball? I don't think Lonzo would be in play for them probably. I think you should be looking for more forwards anyway than point guards. I think they just need to get longer and bigger and faster. Mr. Ray says A+ draft grade if the Suns are really eyeing Fleming at 31. Great snag by them. I thought so too. I think the Phoenix Suns have done very well for themselves. I think the Suns have really set themselves up for success with their draft approach this year. Curry, thank you for the 2. Says I'm one of those GOAT super chatters. You definitely are. Curry came up huge yesterday. Thank you again, Curry, for the super chat. You're an absolute legend. Super chats go a long way in supporting the channel here. So huge thank you to everyone who has been able to do so and feels encouraged to do so by my content coverage. Of course, no pressure to anybody. I don't want anyone to feel pressured. Oh, there's that timer going off. It scared me for a second. I forgot I set it. Let's check that like counter now. Is that 170 likes? Okay, we did okay. We're well over 200 likes now, but we did not hit that double goal that I set. Maybe I was a little extreme in that. Make sure to hit that like button, though. Brendan here says, driving to the arena to work the concert and utility sports is leagues better than most. Appreciate you so much, Brendan. You're an absolute beast. Alex says, who will draft Amari Williams? The Lakers at 45 could definitely be a team to watch for. We will definitely watch for some of the outcomes, but Williams to the Lakers could make some sense. Otherwise, the Pacers at 38 could be a possible team to consider him. The Warriors the Suns at 41 probably wouldn't do it, but maybe Sacramento at 42. Washington at 43 maybe. Those are a few teams that I wanted to highlight. Appreciate you guys all so much. Thanks for hopping into the stream today. Again, we will be live for a while, even going into the second round. So really do appreciate you guys big time. Let's go over here quick to this and see this. Also, I just want to give a huge thank you to you guys as well. On YouTube, we've been just doing great. Our subscriber count's been growing steadily. You guys have been just absolutely awesome. So huge thank you to everybody. We've been seeing that number grow live. This auto updates, by the way. So make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are enjoying. If you're new here, Jacob says, "Did you like OKC getting Sorber?" I did. I thought that was a very good pick for them. I think he fits tremendously well into their team defensive identity. Best in North says, "I low-key think Washington decided to troll Utah by drafting Walter Clayton to get draft picks because of what they did at 5, or is it just coincidence?" Thoughts? I don't think Washington was trolling the Jazz. I think that the two of them just worked out a trade, and the Jazz targeted Clayton as the guy that they wanted. Enigmatical says a center at 35 for the Sixers will be a starter most of the year. Of course, making a little bit of a joke there at Embiid's health. Detroit at 37. I wasn't sure if they were still in the league. I mean, they were a playoff team this year. They played very well. Detroit obviously has not been in the headliners this offseason so far. A little atypical for the Pistons as of late, but they're in a great spot. Anthony here says, "Sheldon, if Miami's able to buy a second-round pick tonight, who do you think they choose to have a good draft class?" Adou Thiero would be awesome for them. Larry here, thank you again for the 5, says, "Give me your top 3 players left who have star potential." I mean, Gilbert Arenas, Manu Ginobili, Draymond Green, Dennis Rodman, Marc Gasol levels. So that's kind of a tough ask, Larry. Admittedly, it's a tough ask to say who could be 3 possible players with star upside in 1 second round. Of course, those guys stem throughout many second rounds. But I don't think there's star upside here for Rasheer Fleming, but I think he's, got good role player upside. I think he can be really valuable for a contending team if you have the right pieces. And Phoenix got a lot better this year. So I like the Rasheer Fleming pick a lot for them. If they're able to actually secure him and ultimately do pick him. Then Adou Thiero is a guy who I do think actually has some near star upside, like a player who can truly be a kind of a star role player, a star awesome piece for a team, like an OG Anunoby, and maybe have an impact similar to, a guy like Draymond, Rodman, not quite as probably talented as Marc Gasol and Manu and Arenas, but very good player, very impactful team defender. Adou Thiero should be the headliner tonight of who does get ultimately drafted. And then also in the second round, this guy, again, there's no star upside here, but this is a player who's going to be a star in a role in Kobe Bryant at number 22. Really like his game. And when it comes to some upside bets late, there's just nobody who's going to be, I just at this point in time, I don't think there's any Jokic. I don't think there's any Arenas, Ginobili, Draymond. I'm looking more at guys who can be good in roles. I do think Thiero is the best long-term upside. I think he can actually be a star bet almost. And then Brea and Rasheer Fleming have solid role player upside to them that is really valuable, which is why I like Phoenix moving up to 31 to make sure they get him. But again, thank you guys all so much for all of the super chats. Thanks for all the awesome comments. Lachlan here says, what do you think about KJ Hero backcourt defensively? Personally, I think they both try, but neither are any good on-ball defenders. Hard to play them together. Makes re-signing Davion so important. Yeah, that's the nice thing is, Miami has a little bit of insurance with that, with the Davion Mitchell, Haywood Highsmith combination. You've got an awesome wing who can guard point guards in Haywood. You've got Davion Mitchell, who's a guard who can guard up to wings. It gives you lineup versatility, gives you positional flexibility with how you want to align yourself. You can play with more playmaking. You can play with more speed. You can play with more length and size. And, of course, Yakachonis is pretty big for a point guard. So I think you can play Yakachonis with Davion. I think you can play Hero with Davion. And I think, with that in mind, it gives Davion's positional versatility because of his defensive talent. gives you a little bit more flexibility than you would normally have playing those kinds of guards together. So Von Wig here says, who has the Suns 2026 pick? It's Memphis. Memphis does. The 2026 draft, by the way, is super convoluted. I spent over 2.5 hours today trying to figure out who has what picks. It was a nightmare because it's all 3-team swaps and protections 1 through 8, protections 1 through 4. It was miserable. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, honestly, today. Project NBA says Cavs 100% need to select a center. I agree. I do think they will draft a center tonight. Not Too Fam says, what's good, my guy? Hope you had a great birthday yesterday. I did. Thank you so much. Appreciate you for asking. S. Antonio says Cavs going to sign a center. Same with Philly. Doubt they waste their picks on a big. Well, I think Tristan Thompson will probably stay with Cleveland, but you're still probably looking at investing in some form of center tonight, especially since they have two picks in this year's draft. Really like this again for the Suns. Just to recap what our news is right now, according to Sham Sharania, the Suns have done very, very well. Getting Rasheer Fleming here at 31, I think, is just an absolutely awesome pick, and I feel very, very good about that. I'm going to also post this here. Let me post this. I should have posted this earlier under Shams too, because I got to drive engagement toward my Twitter. Did gain a lot of followers yesterday. Over 800 followers gained yesterday. I posted a bunch of clips, posted a bunch of my thoughts, of course. Bray's metrics are all over the place. I doubt the Raptors have interest in him. I don't think he'll be a Raptor. I don't think this is Masai Ujiri's kind of player, to be honest. Curry says, be sure to buy some merch too, y'all boys. Appreciate you, Curry, for saying that, throwing that in there. Again, links at the very top of the description for the merch. Why So Serious says, any chance you think my Spurs trade back into the second round? I don't ultimately expect them to be honest with you. Chips Ahoy says, great draft for Phoenix so far, and they still have pick 41 as well. Unholy Trini says, can you use your connections to wake up Brian Wright? I think, first of all, Spurs fans, obviously it's kind of a bummer you don't have a second round pick right now. You're going into another fun day of a draft event, but without a pick. But you guys did great yesterday. You got Dylan Harper, got Carter Bryant. There's only so many minutes you can give anyway. You're in a great spot. Montoya says, if Sion James chooses number 23, your team could have a sweet jersey in the shop. That's a great tweet. Montoya, do you mind if I tweet that? I'm gonna wait to get permission to tweet that from Montoya before I do, but that's awesome. Best in the North. Why so many people big on Rocco? Looks like one of the worst centers in this draft. He's very. There's a lot of concerns I have with Zikarsky, but it's because he's huge. So Jose Garcia wants to know about Hunter Salas. I'm a bit lower on Salas. I do think there's a little bit of on-ball tax here with him as a prospect. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Alundis Williams and David Duke coming out of college, where they were really productive college players. They just won't be afforded that same opportunity in the NBA. And Salas kind of falls into that, where, you're a high variance 3-point shooter. He's definitely a talented player. And this is the thing too. I don't want to come across too low or, like I'm hating on him, but I do think for Salas, you might just not be good enough to play in today's league. Do I think Cam Jones could fall to the Pistons? Definitely a possibility for sure. Harib here says, why would the Warriors want to move back in this draft where the talent has a drop-off? They're probably looking for 2 super cheap contracts. They're thinking about the apron and, luxury tax, all that stuff. You're getting, instead of one guy making $1.5 million, you're getting 2 guys together making $3 million, and you're saving money on a roster spot. Instead of having to pay someone a $2 million minimum, you're paying them $1.5 million, and it saves you money. So, Red Sox fan says, as a Celtics fan, I want Kalkbrenner or Ray. No, appreciate you big time. Reddy here says this is a very bad draft for the Timberwolves, in my opinion. I think they've done it fine. Appreciate you, Montoya. Let me go back up and grab it. Shout out to him again. Fanatics jersey. I think this is pretty darn good. I'm not gonna lie. That's such a great thing, Montoya. Let me. I'm gonna give you credit to Montoya from the stream. Absolute legend. Appreciate you guys all so much for hopping in here today. Fanatics jersey sales if Sion James chooses to wear number 23 for whichever team drafts him tonight. This was such a good, Montoya. I'm so glad you said that. This is hilarious. Like, this is one of probably the funniest tweets I've ever sent. Of course, it wasn't because I came up with it, because I'm not creative enough to do that. But that's why I have an awesome chat, because you guys are absolute legends. Mr. Ray says Thiero has star potential if he hits 100% of his outcome. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, if he turns into the best version of himself, he's going to be fantastic. Damo says, who should the Warriors target at their picks? Some size. They need some length and size for sure. So appreciate you all so much. Everyone go leave a like on this tweet, by the way. Links in the description. I just think this is so funny. Show Montoya some love. First of all, let's get some W's in the chat for Montoya. Appreciate you big time, my man. And also go show him some love over here on Twitter by leaving a like on these tweets because these are really his tweets. So make sure to go show him some love. Larry Love says Kalkbrenner might be the most skilled big inside this draft. Inside big in this draft. Yeah. I think he's very, very solid. Like, and he has a game that fits super well into the NBA. So definitely think there's some real value for him as a second round pick tonight. Ozzy says, I've talked myself into Yang. I mean, see, that's the thing is you watch a lot of Yang. Like, obviously, I've spent so many hours in film on him. Like, he is super skilled, super technical, great footwork, real potential to play off the top of the key and delay action as a hub big man. Super good player. Red Sox fan says, Jazz should draft you. I mean, I could help in the front office and I could help as a coach. I definitely can't help as an NBA player. Not quite athletic enough. Toxic Seth wants to know if I think Jameer Watkins gets drafted. I would be pretty surprised, honestly, if he doesn't. I would be pretty shocked if he does not get drafted tonight. Brandon Lee says, any chance Reynaud will drop to 39. So the 39th pick tonight is Toronto. I would be pretty surprised if Reynaud makes it past Boston at 32, the Hornets at 33 and 34. I'd be pretty surprised if he makes it past Indiana at 38. But you never know. Like, crazy stuff happened last night. I didn't think, there was a lot of stuff that happened. I didn't think Jace Richardson was going to make it to the mid-20s at number 25. So stuff happens. Sanic here, thank you so much for hopping in the stream again. Sanic's been watching the channel for a long while. Says, hey, Utility Sports, as a Suns fan, what can I expect from Fleming? So for Fleming specifically, one of the things that I really love about him as an individual player is his defensive versatility and pick and roll. I got to move this so that I don't get copyrighted. But you're looking at the value he's going to bring as a guy who can guard all over the court, can be a secondary helper, can shoot the basketball a little bit, can cut, play, finish, can find value as a screen dive guy, which isn't necessarily what the Suns need now after getting both Mark Williams and Kamal Maluach yesterday. But having more guys who are versatile and can do a little bit of everything is good. So Julia here, welcome to the stream. Julia says, where do you think Reynaud is going to go? I would have to bet Boston at 32. They took Hugo Gonzalez at 28 last night. I think that they will take Reynaud at 32 here tonight after Rasheer Fleming comes off the board. Focus here wants to know why not so much love for Kobe Sanders. Well, I thought about Kobe Sanders a lot. He's probably like in the top 65 on my board. I do a pretty firm cutoff at 60 just because I think that's the most valuable way to go about the boards. But Sanders, after transferring from Cal Poly to Nevada, first of all, he's an older prospect, 5 years in college basketball. But then on top of that, like you look at the shooting, it's not super consistent, especially on a 2-3 year track record. Like he hasn't been an effective 3-point shooter. So it's just hard. Like he's a bigger guard, but I just don't know if I want to, invest into that myself too much. I could see his career kind of panning out a little bit like Delano Banton, where he has moments of really great play, but then never really sticks in, doesn't find a lot of long-term success. So that's kind of the reality that I'm a little worried about being the reality for him. But hopefully, you guys do enjoy. Let's get the Lakers to trade for the draft rights to Bryce James. Bryce James will be not this draft, but the one after that. I believe he's going to Arizona this next year. He should be in the in 2026 draft. So I'm sure many platforms are writing Bryce James articles right now. It's crazy. Will, thank you for the 5. Says, do you see the Mavs moving into the second round? I ultimately do not. Will, first of all, thank you so much for the 5. I'm not sure. This is the hard thing is, like, I give a lot of predictions for the first round. I think the first round's a lot simpler and more straightforward. You get to the second round, this is where things are really bunched up for teams. You're going to have a wide array of players that they're kind of all in the same realm, same kind of barometer, same area. And with that in mind, like, some teams might say, well, it's not worth us moving up. It's not worth us trying to jump in to the second round here, and we can just sign undrafted free agent. So it all comes down to the price. Now, maybe Dallas does. But I think they're going to be pretty cautious about sending cash because of the hard capping mechanisms. So, we're going to see less teams trade cash in general moving forward, which is good. Love seeing those W's fly in. Spurs and Jazz A+ draft so far. I really like the Spurs, especially. Kadri says Celtics should grab a big. I do think they will with Maxime Reynaud. Lowry and Ace for Giannis. No, the Bucks do not want to be terrible. I love the idea, though. Follow-up question, where do you see Jameer Watkins going? I definitely think Oklahoma City at 44 would strongly consider him. Otherwise, you're looking at, like, New York at 50 would probably like him a lot. Milwaukee at 47 could definitely value that. And then Memphis at 48 is another good landing spot. Somewhere in that 44 to 50 range is where I expect him to go. Differin says Barnhizer low-key gives me Lou Dort vibes if he can increase his three-point shooting. Barnhizer is a good player. Not quite Lou Dort. I don't think he'll have the defensive value Dort does on the ball, but definitely a talented player. Chili says need more likes on the stream. Let's check how we are doing for likes right now. Giving a little quick refresh here. Almost 260 likes. We are one like away from 260. Everyone go smash that like button right now. Kaiser here says, I think the Wolves should get the other French guy from Stanford. Are you talking about Maxime Reynaud? Definitely can still be in play for them at 36. We'll see. But they drafted Berenger already. They already went in France. I don't think they'll go with another French big man, but could be in play. Joseph says we need to be paying attention to the Lakers for the 55th pick in 2026. It's going to be Bryce James. Very likely will be. Enigmatical says, shout out to all of the draft sickos tuning in for second round action. Yes, love all of you guys hopping in here. Baglin, welcome to the stream. This is one of our Discord moderators. I want to shout out the Discord right now. Link is in the description for that. You got it down there on the bottom ticker there for a second. Make sure to go check it out. Garrett wants to know why Rasheer Fleming drops out of the first. He does have some flaws. He can't really pass the basketball, can't really dribble the ball. Those are two inherent flaws for a guy who's probably going to be asked to play out on the perimeter, but he is still talented. So, there's other things in basketball other than dribbling and passing, and he's good at those other things. He's versatile defensively, can block shots, can, cover ground, can contain in the pick and roll. Valuable player, very valuable player. Eric says, just saw a post that the Hornets might trade for Jared Allen. I would like that for them. That's a great starting center. I'm not expecting that to ultimately happen, but would be crazy. Suns are on a mission. Yes, they are. Really have liked what they... yes. Great draft so far for the Phoenix Suns. I think the Suns have done tremendously well. I am very, very impressed with what the Phoenix Suns have been able to accomplish so far today. Brandon Lee says CMB is the Dort clone if he can learn to shoot. And he's a bit bigger than Dort too, so definitely interesting. Alec here says who will draft Amari Williams. Again, I think you're looking at a variety of teams that could use big men in the 45 to 60-ish range. Like you're looking at maybe Orlando as depth, Milwaukee at 47 makes a lot of sense. The Cavaliers at 49 makes a lot of sense, or at 58 if he falls that far. The Pacers at 54 is a very sensible spot. Maybe even Utah at 53 because Micah Potter, who's been a depth big man for them, is probably not going to stay there. Sean says, Sheldon, I know that you believe in multiple bigs. How do you feel about Detroit's no bigs approach? The thing is they already have two bigs. They have Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart. So they honestly, what I thought for them is that they needed more shooting. They found it last offseason with Malik Beasley. I think keeping him is at the heart of what they need to do. And then they also need to find a little bit more shooting, whether that be a Kobe Brea tonight or more ball handling. Now, there's a few ways you can look at it. You have Jaden Ivey coming back from injury next year. So that's going to be some of that ball handling responsibility, which is why I think a guy like Kobe Brea really uplifts your team offense when Cade's off the court. And when Cade's on the floor, because you either have a spacer and someone who's a fluid mover working off of Duren dribble handoffs, which I think I would love for them. It's probably a good time to break out the whiteboard here. We got the clear whiteboard back. I still haven't figured out solutions for the glare, but we're just going to make it work, guys. Okay. Let's just talk through Kobe Brea quick and why Kobe Brea, remember, finished 22nd on my board. So this is Kobe Brea Love. This is a new segment brought to you by Utility Sports, and it is the Kobe Brea Why He's Good at Basketball segment, okay? So here is our half-court offense. And the whole point of drafting shooting, there's a few reasons. Well, first of all, you're going to get transition threes. That's always awesome. The earlier in the shot clock you can shoot, the better. Secondly, the point here for, as I send balloons in, for Kobe Brea, we're celebrating Kobe Brea right now, it looks like. Secondly is spacing. And then third, when you have a special shooter, the third thing, and this is where it's really important, functional. This is what separates Kobe Brea for me from a guy like Liam McNeely, who went to Charlotte last night at 29. And why I think Kobe Brea is a better player than Liam McNeely, he's a lot more functional as a shooter. If you look up Liam McNeely shooting highlights and you compare it to a Trey Johnson, you compare it to a Kobe Brea, you're probably going to get less excited because Liam McNeely is not going to be flying off of off-ball screens, flowing off of dribble handoffs. So let's look at Jalen Duren, right? Duren's got the basketball right here at the top of the key. And let's say this is a moment when Cade Cunningham's off the floor. If they do draft Kobe Brea, who we got right here, no, not Kobe Bryant, Kobe Brea. Okay, ball's in Duren's hands. We've got Ivy over here on this side. This is where, and if you've watched Miami over the last few years, you look at any time Duncan Robinson finds success playing off of Bam Adebayo, you get dribble handoff. And Brea, who used to play with Day'Ron Holmes II at Dayton, shot a ton, and I mean a ton, of off the dribble, off the catch, dribble handoff threes. And he was stellar doing it. This is somehow my board here is giving a huge plus, but this is the exact kind of stuff that like could elevate Detroit's offense for 4-minute stretches when Cade Cunningham sits. If Kobe Brea makes 1 or 2 threes, that completely changes those 2, 3, 4-minute bursts where you need a bucket, you need a couple points to keep your team in it, maybe to close the gap a little bit at the beginning of the fourth quarter, stuff like that. Kobe Brea can be that kind of little spark plug as a shooter. And he's just arguably the best shooter in the draft. Highest three-point attempt rate, super functional, super successful, wider range. Like he's going to be someone who can shoot out. Like if this was the three-point line out here, he'd be making them out there. He's got incredible range, incredible quick trigger ability. It's a guy who is super functional when Cade's off the floor and then can also function as a go screener, do stuff like that. So super functional, and that's why Kobe Brea is a guy who would help Detroit a lot. Kine here says, can't pass, can't dribble, doesn't sound so good. Timeout Fleming. I mean, well, that's the thing. That's why he went in the second round, right? That was the question. He has flaws, outside of, I mean, even Cooper Flake has a couple flaws, but outside of Cooper, like every prospect has something not right with them. And that's just normal. That's real life. Justice says, do you rate any of the Aussies of the 4 Aussies in the second round? I actually do like some of the Australian players. By the way, next year, 2026, there's a very good Australian player near the very top of the draft in Dash Daniels. But here is where I have some of the NBL guys ranked. If it won't let me zoom in further. But you got Rocco Zikarsky at number 50, Alex Tui at 51. I've got Isan Almansa at number 53. So these 3 guys are specifically the ones who will return some top 60 value in this year's draft, in my opinion. Steven here says Jazz hired Carlos Boozer because the NBA lottery loves the storyline. Well, here's the thing. Utah's either going to end up with the BYU kid in AJ DeBonsa or Carlos Boozer's son, Cam. So either way, they're in a great spot, right? Anthony says, Sheldon, what would your thoughts be if the Heat are able to acquire Kuminga? It depends on what they give up, but I would like Kuminga being in a situation that isn't Golden State anymore. Big Al says, I can't believe that many teams passed on Derek Queen. Yeah, they passed on functionally good players. That's what happens in the draft. Yegor Demon should not go before Derek Queen in a draft, ever. That should just never happen. Jay says, could you see the Spurs trading for someone in the second round? No, I don't think so, to be honest with you. Jay, I wish I could tell you yes, but I think since they traded out at 38 yesterday, the answer is no. Rebel Video says, what team do you think has improved through the drafts the most so far? San Antonio and Dallas. They had the first 2 picks, so it's like the easy answers. I thought New Orleans had a long-term interesting draft, getting Fears, who I have ranked 8th, and getting Queen, who I have ranked 3rd. I thought they did very well for themselves. And then I also think, Phoenix, like you get Kaman Maluach, who I had at number 4. You traded for Mark Williams, and now you get Rasheer Fleming, who I had at number 18. That's very good front court assets for a team that badly needed them. Brendan S. says, why do you think so many teams punted on next year's draft? Is the class weak? Class is pretty good, especially at the top, but sometimes teams aren't patient. Like, New Orleans wanted upgrades now. They traded next year's pick for this year's pick for Derek Queen. They are aggressive. That's just what teams do. Clays here says, Yang, yes, Hanson Yang was an interesting pick at 16. Definitely talented. Red Sox fan here says, what's your take on Hugo Gonzalez? Solid player, good instincts, connective. I don't think he's better than Shireman. I had him ultimately 38th on my board. I do have some questions about the jump shooting, but I think he can return value in a few ways. So Chili here says, Pistons need someone who can back up Tobias. We'll see what they do. I think they're going to lean more into Ausar Thompson and Ron Holland this year. So Rebel says, love the clear board segments. Appreciate you guys so much. You can tell some people don't. A lot of people, I did notice that the stream dropped about 70 viewers with the clear board segment because some people just don't actually love basketball. I think the clear board segments, the whole reason. So I got this yesterday for my birthday from my fiance, and the whole point of asking for it was so that I could showcase to you guys some things that I think are super valuable and talk through play styles and talk through functionality. And I think it's super fun. I think it's super useful. I'm glad that you like it. And I hope that going forward, more people will want to stay through those segments because, I'm not going to try and sit there and talk for an hour, but I don't want to, grind it too far, but I do think it's super meaningful. And as we hopefully in the future get better lighting, figure things out with that, they'll be even better. Joseph says, not bad, my man. You know your stuff. Impressive. Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate you. Just Kyle says, Durham with the ball in his hands in the half court is perfectly fine. I just need him to stop pushing the break. And if he can get a midi, it'll be so much better. Yeah, that's the thing. So right now, it's funny. Duran, in his draft, I actually compared him to Bam Adebayo. I think he's still in the process of getting there. He's still very young. So he's probably 1 or 2 years away from really starting to uncover a lot more of what I think he's capable of. But he had a really good year this last year. And I think when you have, defined situations, I think the issue with him in transition is, the game's kind of moving fast and guys aren't in defined spots. Whereas when he's playing off the top of the key as a handoff guy, you have a little bit more structure there. And I think that's super valuable, especially for young bigs. Like knowing what the next read is and knowing where it's going to be is a real cheat code. And that's where good coaching is super important. And you guys got to see firsthand in Detroit the differences between Monty Williams and JB Bickerstaff one year after the other. Sanic here says, I like Jameer Watkins or Markovic for Phoenix at 41. Definitely think either of them would be solid. Jameer gives them a lot of length. Markovic, more offensive talent. Duran has a good midi, but he doesn't have the green light for it. I mean, yeah, you're just looking at, this is an analytics thing too. Like the less mid-range jump shots you take, the better. Statistically, now I don't think that's true every single game. I don't think that's true in the playoffs, but it's what the numbers suggest. So Kine here says, ugh, we want Jameer Watkins in New York. Definitely still a possibility at number 50 tonight. Joseph says, I think Cooper Flagg won't get the ball at all with the way Dallas plays. He won't get the ball. I think he's going to be playing point guard to start the year, to be honest with you. I think he's going to have the ball in his hands more than anybody. But we'll see. Obviously, they'll find creative ways to use him. Ryan says, if Rocco is there at 55, I could see the Lakers take him. So the Lakers, Ryan, moved up to actually number 45. They no longer have the 55th pick. They actually have the 45th pick now. We are just 9 minutes away from the draft starting again here. Dark Sonic says, who do you think is getting Ryan Kalkbrenner? If I had to guess, Charlotte at 33 or 34. Okay, good. Marcus was able to correct this too, Ryan. My bad. I didn't see that he had corrected it for you. I don't think stupid is the way I would describe what the Suns have done tonight. Shireman's good. I like Shireman. I think Shire. You know who I think is going to have a really good sophomore season? Baylor Shireman. Thoughts on Queen, Murphy, and Zion front court? Don't Queen and Zion operate on the same side on offense? Well, they play out of the middle of the floor both, but I do think if you are New Orleans and you want to toggle through Zion playing with the ball a lot, like him and Queen can be such a dynamic screen and roll combo. So I don't know. I need to, honestly, I'm probably going to, like when Summer League starts, I'm going to think through what that's going to look like more. Maybe I'll have a video. Not sure yet. Don't want to commit to that because I'm not sure. It'll depend on how Summer League looks and stuff and what my upload schedule looks like with that. But I am going on a little bit of a family vacation. I now live in a different state than my family. So I am going on a little bit of a family vacation down to Florida with them. We're just driving there, but so it's not like this huge, big, expensive trip or anything. But I just want to try and spend that time. So we'll see what ultimately happens. But maybe I will get a video out. Piggy, thank you for the birthday wishes. I had a great birthday yesterday. You guys were all awesome. A lot of awesome people in here. I'm just Kyle says neither one of those guys are a 4. Elsar and Ron are 3s. Well, I get that, but look at I wouldn't classify Tatum as a power forward really either. Like I'm saying, what Detroit could do is play really fast, and you have a bigger point guard already in Cade Cunningham. You have obviously one of the fastest guards in the league in Jaden Ivey. Get up and down that court, fly a little bit, win with pace and win with speed a little bit more. Create havoc. Look at what OKC does with some of their lineups. When they play smaller. Kenrich Williams isn't this big bruising 4 either. So Tag Live says, I'm back. Thank you for the 5, Tag Live. He says, Sean Marks stated that the coaching staff has a plan in place for a Demon Traore backcourt for Brooklyn. Well, a lot of it is playing off of bigs. The segment I just drew up here, talk about dribble handoffs and stuff. That's what Jordi Fernandez does. The Nets had their handoff usage increased by 150% from the year prior under Fernandez. So they're going to flow into handoffs. It's going to be Demon and Traore off the slots from each other. I guess here, let me, just to help everybody, let's get the whiteboard back out real quick, just so I can explain what this is going to look like. Thank you again for the 5. We'll be really quick with this because the second round of the draft is starting here in 6 minutes. So this is not going to be like a 5-minute segment or anything, but I'm just going to draw quickly where this is going to start and stem from for the for the Nets. So really what you're looking at here, let me slant this so that the reflection's good. Here's the court. You're going to have like Claxton at the top of the key with the ball, right? So he's got the basketball. This is delay action. You're going to have 2 corner shooters, and you've got your guards at the slot. So here's guard 1 and here's guard 2, okay? What this really is now is you have optionality. You can do a dribble at, maybe they're overplaying this, and now you back cut. And then this turns into an exit. And with that, this guy lifts up to the break. Now you have empty space here out of the slot in the middle. Okay, that big square. So then what would happen, Claxton flips his hips and triggers into a dribble handoff this way. And now you're playing into advantage where there's no gap help here. So this spot of the floor is completely open. If I had to guess what the plan is, it's probably something like that, which I think is good. The only question that you run into is, can either of these guys actually finish effectively enough and make enough pull-up jump shots to make that scary, dangerous good? I don't think so, but I do think that they're going to be able to move the basketball. So Gussie says, can we download the segment chart? I think going forward, like into future years, I will set this up so that people can use it. And this is on Twitter. So if you want to, if you're talking about the big board, if you want to go take a look at it yourself, you can definitely use it. I should have went to full screen for that, by the way, but whoops. I think Sherman's going to have a good year for sure. Kine says, not a Shireman fan. You know, that's okay. Everyone's allowed to have their own guys that they value and don't value. So I totally understand it. Christian says there's a software that allows you to draw on screen. Yeah, so I've looked at those. Some of them are like thousands of dollars, the good ones. So that's why the whiteboard, which was not $1,000, works a little bit better. It'd be amazing if you can put the board on the wall so the text is not reversed to the viewer. Yeah, I need to. Yeah, I know. So I just got this yesterday, and haven't had time to like foolproof it yet. Trust me, going forward, there's gonna be things. Obviously, I didn't have the time, with my birthday being yesterday and all, to get everything set up. But we're gonna be good. Rebel says, how excited are you for the Mavs upcoming season? They're getting the chip. They get the chip. I don't think they get the championship next year, but I do think that they will. I do think that they will be pretty good. So I'm very excited about that. Don't ever let me catch Joe Dumars in a dark alley, says Josh L. That's crazy. Joseph says basically a DHO with the option for the shooter to shoot or pass to a cutter. I mean, yeah, it's just like it's all about getting your guards into space. That's really the answer. Like, this is the thing going forward when you watch NBA basketball or just basketball in general, you'll notice a lot more good stuff happens when it's in space, when players have open opportunities. Like, if you want to know why the Kings were so good a few years ago, it's because Mike Brown was spamming DHOs with Domantas Sabonis, and De'Aaron Fox and Keegan Murray and Malik Monk were all playing into space for the first time in their career. And they took off. Now teams can adjust to that, and that's why you can't just only run dribble handoffs. Otherwise, every team would do it. But the first year of them doing it, teams were not really ready to guard them. And I think teams weren't taking the Kings super seriously that year either. Until all of a sudden you get to the playoffs and you're like, oh gosh, the Kings are the 3 seed. I think that's part of the reality there too. So appreciate you guys a ton. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do all of that now. Obviously, for like a court, it's fine. Whether it's mirrored or not, it doesn't really matter. But for when I do it does. So appreciate you guys all so much. Christian says, would you like the Rockets to get 2 fast-paced guards to have quick lineups when Van Vliet and KD are off the floor? I think just leaning upon Amen Thompson a bit more is what I would want them to just do as the guard option. So, but we'll see what they ultimately do on their roster. They're going to fill out their team with a lot of minimums, so I wouldn't bet on a lot of those guys playing. Curry said, Alfredo on the pizza opened my eyes. That's what I'm saying. I put you on. That stuff's pretty good, ain't it? Looks like the second round of the draft should be kicking off here in a minute. Again, I'm going to be staying live for the beginning of it. Kine says, I'm a Jazz fan too, John Coltrane and Mike Davis. That's great. I got scared for a second because I did not know those names, and I was like, I don't know who you're talking about. And then I realized you're talking about jazz artists. DHO is basically part of the reason why Duncan Robinson got his huge payday. Exactly, yeah, because Duncan Robinson's another guy, and that's what makes me so excited about Brea is he's super functional. Like if you have a dribble handoff big, it's an easy form of offense to toggle into pretty consistently. So it's a great point, not too fam on Duncan. Joseph said this is why Celtics didn't win the NBA championship this year. They ran tons of spacing plays. 2024 with no back cutting. The Celtics were last in the league in cutting this year. Yeah, their rim volume as a whole was just not good. That is definitely one of the things that you need to have toggled for sure. Also, can we talk about how the NBA draft in 2020, the second round is not on the normal ESPN channel? I'm about to hold on one second, everybody. I'm just working on getting something set up here. Welcome everybody to the stream. The draft should be starting here in just a minute. I'm working on getting signed into ESPN because it never leaves me signed in, so it's always a nightmare. Appreciate you guys all so much. Welcome everyone to the stream. Second round is going to be starting here. Remember, the first pick of the second round is going to be Rasheer Fleming. All right. The 31st pick of the draft is Rasheer Fleming. Really talented player. Steven says, what do you think on the Warriors trading for 2 second-round picks? They were trying to save money on their roster. They're getting a couple cheap rookies, probably, to fill out their team depth a little bit. Last year they traded for Lindy Waters III. This year, I think that they are going to be most likely to just pick and stick with players there at this point. Draft has begun. Yep, I'm working on getting it pulled up here on my phone. It is being difficult for no reason. So, all right, we should be set up now. I'm going to have my audio on too, so you guys should be able to hear. We'll have to figure this out. Why is my... I don't know if you guys ever run into issues with the ESPN app, but it is not smooth. Okay, it says I am signed in, but it's... There we go. Should be working now. Okay. Let me know if you guys are able to hear this. Are you able to hear this? Hear it a little bit. Okay. Is this better? Levi says, man, I hope Spurs trade for Reynaud. That would be a done deal for that squad. Starters, bench, fat stars, all-stars, and aliens alike. Definitely could use a big man. Very quiet. Okay. Is that better? Okay. Oh, that's okay. Good. I'm seeing a bit better. Okay.
And Victor is a fantastic player. And the reason is, Cooper Flag is NBA ready as they come, and I'll tell you why. He guards, he defends, he blocks, he steals.
Appreciate you guys.
All these highlights we're seeing, that's all scoring. That's all great. That's at least half the
game. We will be following along. Of course, I will be live tweeting everything as we go. Do you guys want me to pull up Shams or no? Like, should we be on Shams's thing if he's announcing picks or no? Joseph says, I'm curious about the Timberwolves. They should let Randall and Reed walk. I think they're going to keep both of them, Joseph. Dexy says, could the Wolves package a bunch of seconds for Colin Sexton? Maybe not even after the draft, maybe during. Eze says no. We're getting kind of split thoughts here. I'll wait to hold off and we'll see what everyone says. Eze Ball is saying no Shams, please. Okay, we will. I'm going to go off of Shams for now, at least, until we make a collective decision as a group. Shout out to Thunder Giant for the follow. Do half the screen with Shams, make everyone happy. I don't know if that would help. If I'm seeing a lot of no Shams as well, so no, let's find out together. Okay.
That was a very big risk, but hey, it could go either way. Derek Queen could come into the NBA and be an instant impact player, or a year from now, the Pelicans could have.
What do you think about Portland trade down? I like their trade down a lot. I really like their trade down. We want Woj. You guys want to see something cool? I showed this yesterday.
And then, of course, the trade with New Orleans. Ace and Newell, who they get as that long, athletic big.
Woj follows me.
That 2026 pick that could be either New Orleans or Milwaukee. I was looking at my notes. I didn't realize they even had a 2027 pick for Milwaukee or Atlanta the following year. That's top 5 protected. So they basically control 2 years of those teams' picks. Atlanta's going to be active in free agency. They're going to add some backcourt depth. They've got a large trade section to go out and utilize.
Is the audio good?
Hawks in the next couple days.
It feels like the Atlanta Hawks looked around and said, okay, the Eastern Conference, it feels more wide open than they thought it was going to be even a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago. And they decided, you know what, we want to push in right now and see if we can make a real push. Before we get to the second round, I do want to bring in our draft expert, Jonathan Gavoni, here, because Jonathan,
here's Gavoni.
Hearing that maybe there was a lot of folks that were caught off guard by the fact that Ace Bailey is going to Utah at 5. How is he feeling about what happened in Utah?
Malika, we're still waiting to hear on that from him, but as many of our viewers might be aware, Ace Bailey did not conduct a single known visit or workout with an NBA team. He was clearly determined to steer himself to a team outside the top 5. Many around the NBA believe that to be the Washington Wizards. I was told that his agent, Omar Cooper, told at least one team in the top 5 before the draft that his client won't
this is facts.
If they decide to draft him. Now, the Utah Jazz selected him regardless.
Audio is fine, good.
Now, the big question is, are we going to see him in Utah anytime?
Appreciate you guys.
Omar Cooper.
Okay, good. I'm glad that everyone can hear it. I'm glad it's coming in good.
He declined to answer those questions. He told me there's nothing uncommon about Ace Bailey's pre-draft process. 18 teams interviewed him. They all saw him work out at the NBA draft combine. They all have his medical.
Not too fam saying Maxime right now.
To decline or cancel workouts, which is absolutely true. Now, a press conference is scheduled in the near future for Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton. We're all going to see what comes of that. If we get any more answers from Ace Bailey about what happened in the past few months.
I really appreciate that insight there, Jonathan. Thank you. Jay,
everyone's freaking out too much about that.
You called him one of the most talented players in this draft. What do you make of all of this?
It's odd.
Ace Bailey sounds like a bit of a jerk. I mean, he's not the only. This happens all the time. This happens all the time.
So it's unusual.
Harper and Bryant was the best thing Spurs could have done. Wish they hadn't traded 38. They could be in the running to land right now.
Young player to do, but he's got the choice to do it. He's not really a member of the union yet, but he's protected by the union.
Right.
So
Jay Smooth says, "Yo, utility. If you were Utah, would you have drafted Ace? I would have went a different route, but it wouldn't have been because of Ace's workout things."
Walter Clayton and Ace Bailey on Monday at the beginning of training camp for summer.
And part of that is they're going to
welcome back, Bryce. Glad to have you back in here. Yeah, Sar did the same thing to the Hawks. He would not work out for them. So everyone's just freaking out because it's Ace Bailey.
All right, so that's a situation we'll continue to monitor. I want to bring in our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, another surprise. Duke big man, Kaman Malawach going.
I've never called Yang Chinese Jokic.
Traded for Mark Williams, another center, just a little bit later. Take us inside this approach to draft multiple centers here.
Here's Shams on the Suns.
So all of this has to do with even tonight at pick number 31. The Minnesota Timberwolves essentially had an auction for that pick, and so the Suns have now jumped in to get that 31 overall pick for the number 36 pick, as well as 2 future second-round picks. And so why did the Suns move up tonight to number 31? Because I'm told the Celtics were going to take Rasheer Fleming, St. Joseph, at number 31. So now the Suns have jumped to 31, and now they will be really considering Rasheer Fleming at that selection.
Oh, my fault.
That's on the heels of, as you just mentioned, drafting Kaman Malawach last night, and then within minutes, acquiring Mark Williams in a trade. We know the Suns had major issues at center last season.
Right.
And issues with their size. They've done a good job here of getting too high up.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now.
Their new head coach, Jordan Ott, in Cleveland, they played Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. And so look for them to play a lot more size at that center and power forward position this upcoming season. So post Kevin Durant trade to the Houston Rockets, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Mark Williams, potentially Rasheer Fleming. as well as
No
Kalkbrenner,
salami, they would not.
Some other assets as well.
And the Suns trading up here to the 31st pick in this second round. But when I think back to last night, gentlemen, I think of the tears. I think of the laughter and the raw emotion.
Picks coming up soon. They'll be at like 5 minutes, I think, or so.
Seen in the draft. Look at these faces. Their faces of pride, of relief, of joy. It's the heart of the draft. Lives that are changing in real time for players and the people who got them here. It's a story that carries through every draft, but I think we saw it in a more unbridled way than in previous years. And tonight, 29 others are hoping to join those first rounders. And just because this is the second round, it doesn't mean teams can't strike gold. Jalen Brunson, drafted in the second round. He's made a name for himself as one of the best clutch players in the game. Chris Middleton, a champion with the Milwaukee Bucks. That just
I will be back in 1 second, but I will leave the audio on, okay?
And of course, Draymond Green, who, Bob, you are uniquely positioned to talk about finding Draymond Green in the second round. You drafted him. So give us your insight here. How do you find those gems here in the second round?
Well, first of all, I should have drafted him in the first round because I had a pick. Let's just be clear. Look, this is a message for everybody in this room and everybody that might be picked tonight. We used to have guys, Bob, show up. Once you get drafted, nobody cares from the team side what number you were. We don't care.
Although Draymond can still name every single person.
But you know what? That was his motivation.
Yeah.
And he used it well. And we saw in the introduction, we're not talking about just good players. We're talking about Hall of Fame players. Manu Ginobili. We've talked about MVP, Bogoljub, Draymond Green. These are not just great players. They're champions. They're all-stars. They've made more money than you can imagine. So for players that are going to get drafted tonight, realistically, yes, it's a number, and yes, the guys that are drafted higher make more money, but the real job starts after you're drafted, and then it's an even playing field. A guy like Draymond Green, he beat out somebody in front of him and never looked back and went on and had a tremendous career. So the second round, oftentimes, is the time where you can separate yourself as an organization and find these guys, because I will tell you, every year, the NBA GMs work very hard, but we always miss on. We always look back, and when you redraft, there's always some second rounders that should have gone a lot higher, and that's what makes the night so fun.
What was your celebration when you hit on a pick?
All right, we are back. Thank you all for waiting. Hopefully the audio is all good for you.
I mean, we see all these
Bro,
guys
what?
driving. You have to pretend like you know. I don't know. I hope all these guys are great.
When
I
did
don't
you know
think it
about
all
Draymond?
played.
When did you know about Draymond? Because Steve Kerr didn't necessarily have him slotted for a whole bunch of minutes early on.
No, Draymond.
Thiero going to be a steal, I agree.
It used to be, even Steph Curry got criticized for not being a point guard. You guys remember that? He's not a point guard. He's not a point guard. What does that even mean? And Draymond, when we drafted him, what position does he play? What position? And you used to get criticized, and from that time on, and Draymond helped change this narrative, he can play basketball. So nowadays, we value versatility. We say he can play 3, 4, 5. And the problem is we got Draymond. Nobody knew what position he was. Even Steve Kerr didn't know what position he played winner. He played winner. That's right. And if you can play winner,
Who's drafting utility sports today?
It's fascinating to watch, even when Steve showed up as their coach. He said, I don't know where to
What is
play
one
this
big
guy.
time trade you'd like to see during the second round?
Like you said, and
I'd like to see a
guys that compete and can play both ways, and obviously he's one of them.
There are winners in this room.
I would love to see a Max Strus trade. Or an Andrew Wiggins. That's what I want to see trade.
Well, it starts with Rasheer Fleming of St. Joseph's. I thought he was going to be taken in the first round. A 3-and-D guy with great length and athleticism, can knock down a perimeter shot. Maxime Renaud from Stanford, who's a 20-and-10 guy, an outstanding rebounder, and can really stretch the floor as a big guy. Maybe the best shot blocker.
Ford will be up on the stream here too.
Times Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Adou Thiero, and from Arkansas, started his career at Kentucky, a driver, slasher, big, strong. And then Chaz Lanier is the best shooter from Tennessee. Spent his first 4
Oh my
years
God!
in Northern
He just
Florida.
said Chaz Lanier is better shooter than
Those are
Kobe Bryant.
certainly some of the gentlemen that we could hear their name called tonight. Brian, when you think about second,
Hey, Roy, that's
I
awesome.
think about chips on shoulders and the perseverance that it takes to take it to the next level in the NBA. What do you think of?
I think second round picks, especially.
Gatorhead really likes Zakai Ziegler.
Because a lot of times the teams that are competing for the championships have already traded their first
Curry
round
says,
picks.
"How do you
So
feel
a lot
about
of
Brooke
guys, or maybe
choosing
guys in this room
a bunch of
tonight
guards?"
end up playing big roles in the
Brooke,
playoffs.
I
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't love it for them, but
That was part of their
I don't know.
card. Even
I think Saraf was the best one they
that was
took.
part of their backbone, their identity as two teams that were
No, I don't think Adou will ever be a great shooter in the
One of the
NBA.
things is when you are in
Respectable,
the second round,
maybe, but
sometimes it means you played a little bit more in college. You might be a little
Probably
bit
not, but he's so good at the other stuff that it doesn't matter.
A shift in the second round. It used to be you get drafted in the second round, you're on an NBA roster automatically. The two-way rule has really taken a little bit of a bite at players on standard contracts. 15 players last year on standard contracts, 10 on two-way. So we might see a little bit of a shift.
We're going to come back to that just to make sure that we explain exactly what it is that a two-way contract is, because I think that can be confusing sometimes when you hear these terms flying around. But let's get the second round officially started. It's just about
Bryce Sean says, I like RJ Barrett getting traded.
Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum to get the
Here's Mark Tatum
for the second night of the 2025 NBA draft.
One thing I do need to tweet quick.
To the second round of the 2025 NBA Draft presented by State Farm. Day 2 of the draft is being held at Barclays Center, right here in my hometown of Brooklyn, New York. Last night, we watched 30 players join the NBA family, and today we usher in another group of great players from around the world. Thank you to all the players here this evening who've come to see their dreams fulfilled. So let's get the second round started. The 31st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft belongs to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have 4 minutes to make their selection.
So 4-minute timers in between picks tonight. And Rasheer Fleming is officially coming off the board. So let's go back over here.
This pick is actually going to the Phoenix Suns, Brian.
They worked really hard to get this pick. The player that they're about to take, they got up this morning and worked hard to get it. They made 3 separate trades. They had 2 picks in the 50s. They acquired picks 36 and 41 and then swapped those with a couple of extra second rounders to get to 31. They wanted this player very badly. Negotiate hard, young man. Get that extra money.
Let me just ask Bobby, because he keeps track of this stuff. 24 hours ago, the Suns had
D the Great says, Go Spurs Go. What's your prediction for all rookie team next season? I will probably have a video coming out with that exact answer for you, okay? So stay tuned, okay?
We have 2 seconds and no tradable first left.
Not Too Fan says, I don't know. Heat fans, I'm one of the few Heat fans that want to keep Wiggins. I don't like the Kuminga fit with the Heat if they have to give up Wiggins. Totally understand that. Totally get that. Soul Trade says, took them long enough to start. Yeah, they're like 15 minutes behind. You can tell it's an NBA event. We're going to avoid showing the spoilers, okay? Obviously, this one got spoiled over an hour ago, but it's okay. It is what it is. Joseph says, I heard Nico Harrison and Joe Dumars are going to put a mega deal together. Most underrated is Adou Thiero for me.
That's the question, right? You make all these moves, you give up draft capital, then you got to hit on the picks for the trade. That's what they did. And who's to say they're not? Nobody knows the answer to that yet. But when you use up your draft capital, you need to live.
Ignorant here says, I need Adou and Kalk in Charlotte. We need some athleticism after the Winter Soldiers yesterday. Winter Soldiers is funny. Larry, thank you for the 2. Says, I hope Sixers take Ryan Kalkbrenner. I will be holding my breath for you and cheering for that outcome.
They have to make sure he's got guys around him, and that's why they invested in getting the 10th pick, and that's why they're investing right now in getting the 31st.
Brian, there's going to be big news on the Phoenix Suns in the next 3 minutes with this pick that they are on the clock for. When you're looking at the player that you think would best fit there, Jay, who is that?
It's not necessarily fit. I think Rasheer Fleming is the best player on the board right now. I thought he should have been a first-round draft pick. But they're
for Washington in the second.
I think we mentioned is Chaz Lanier.
I think a guard makes some sense.
Catch and shoot.
Maybe a Javon Small.
I mean, they ran a ton of
or Chaz Lanier.
All over the court getting shots. I mean, Tennessee. I mean, they got Dalton Connect.
Good pun there.
Transfer portal, and they turn around and get Chaz Lanier from North Florida. They find Roy Hobbs every time they turn around and turn a corner.
Appreciate you guys all. Really glad that we can do this live here. Hopefully you guys do enjoy the stream. We'll be staying live for majority of the second round tonight.
How does a young player come into that environment?
They played rookies last year, even with the Rams team, Brad Beal. They had a veteran team, and rookies found a way to play. And so this is an opportunity.
It's because they were thin. They needed to play.
Yeah, Ryan Dunn is one of them. They hit in the first round. Oso Iguodala in the second round. It was a similar pattern as far as last year, as far as how they traded up to pick 39 to go out.
Javon Small is definitely solid.
You're talking about, I've said it a couple of times already, but the West is a tough place to play.
Yes.
One thing I've never heard a coach say.
Salami, I am worried about Broom's athletic ability, but he was really productive in college without it. So, good basketball player.
When you're a GM, you take a guy high, you want him to play, but it doesn't work. It's whoever can play plays.
Jarm Sears says maybe a big, even if they don't start immediately. Sar doesn't prefer center, so maybe. I think Sar needs to be a center, honestly. Here's the pick.
With the 31st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Rasheer Fleming from St. Joseph's University.
Rasheer Fleming to the Phoenix Suns. Remember, a big trade. Sending this pick to Phoenix.
Just 2 hours down the turnpike from where his NBA dream is being realized here. Rasheer is the oldest of several siblings, played at Camden High School for now Nick's assistant coach Rick Brunson. And the 6'8" wing out of St. Joseph's, he's a self-proclaimed late bloomer. He went through the draft process last year, had 5 workouts. He said he learned a lot, wanted to apply it this season. He describes himself, Jay, as super coachable, willing to play multiple positions, do what it takes to win. Not to mention, he did have the second fastest shuttle run as a draft combine.
Yeah, clearly he's athletic and just crazy length. He's got a 7'5" wingspan, really versatile on the defensive end. Rasheer Fleming was the only player in the country to have over 40
good pick.
Hit over 50 made threes on the season. He shot 39% from 3. He hit 62 of them on the year.
Very good play. Very good for Rasheer Fleming. 32.5-inch max vertical.
Very disruptive. He's a floor spacer, a really good cutter, and he's one of those players.
So Suns walk out of the draft. So far, they still have pick 41 yet, remember, but so far with Kaman Mulawach, Rasheer Fleming, and Mark Williams.
He's got a lot of ability.
And he is standing by with our Monica McNutt. Monica?
Rasheer, congratulations. You took the additional steps to take your time to go back and improve. Now you're here, realizing a dream tonight was going through your mind.
I've never done anything like this in my life. This is a crazy experience for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's I don't know what this is.
All right, well, let's talk basketball, right? That's such a genuine reaction, but let's talk about the basketball, right? You are talented, you are versatile, can defend multiple positions. What are you going to bring to the organization that you're joining, the Phoenix Suns?
First off, just so much effort. Like regardless if anything goes wrong, if I'm not making shots, anything, which I doubt, you're gonna get a lot of effort out of it. But I'm gonna continue to play hard regardless.
Doubting that you were gonna miss shots was very slick. I heard that. Congratulations, Rasheer.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I love that. I'm not going to miss many shots. It's the confidence you want going into the NBA. And now it's the Boston Celtics that are on the clock. It's pretty astonishing, Brian, the difference that the Boston Celtics were sitting in, the position they were sitting in a year ago versus where they are now. Jason Tatum out for an extended period of time. They just traded away Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday. And I think there's a lot of questions. You had reported earlier, they're fielding calls, not necessarily taking them, but fielding calls on Derek White as well.
Yeah, I think they're going to stick with their core guys, but they knew that 2025 was going to be a time where they were going to have to probably cut off some paper. They did that for 3 years when they did those contracts with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But it's been a little bit tougher than they experienced because now they can't afford to pay for a team that they don't know if they can win the whole thing.
Brian, thank you.
We have a trade.
Insider Shams Charania, who has news on this pick. Shams, what's up?
Malika, so this pick, number 32, is actually being traded to the Orlando Magic. So the Orlando Magic are sending numbers 46 and 57 in tonight's draft, as well as 2 other second-round picks in 2026 and 2027. And so tonight's pick here at 32 is Orlando.
All right, so
that's a big price. That's a big price they just paid, which makes me wonder if there wasn't, I don't know, but it makes me wonder if there wasn't some competition between teams.
Do you think any team in the second round will actually make their own pick?
I would be surprised.
We're gonna run out of ink doing on these pens, Bob.
Picks fly around a little bit. It says Boston on the hat, at least for now, so I want to stick with Boston for just a moment. We
All right.
This pick is going to Orlando, who kind of was the catalyst to start the offseason.
With the 32nd pick.
But Boston, Bob, it just goes to show you
in the 2025 NBA draft.
About how many championships can
Whoa.
they win after they win one.
Can't type.
You never know how small that window is going to be.
Well, you don't, because what we do is whoever wins the championship, we think they're going to win it again. We had no idea when Milwaukee won it. We're going to win 3 more. When Denver won it, we're looking at a dynasty. When Boston won it, nobody's going to be Boston. Now we're saying about the city. Oklahoma City is the youngest team to do it for sure. But what you're seeing with Boston is probably what we're going to see more and more in the future with these teams that win it. You load up, you get the role players, you have high-priced stars, but then you take a shot for 1 or 2 years. It doesn't work. You got to unwind some of that. You just can't keep players like you used to because of the second apron. It used to just be money. Not that money doesn't matter. It used to be the owners just paying extra money. Now you can't make trades. You go to that second apron. It really hinders your ability to do things.
This pick is actually heading to Orlando. Markovic is at the podium.
With the 32nd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Noah Penda from Bondy, France, and Francis
Lamont. So Noah Penda is the pick here. 32nd overall. He comes off the board. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Give your grades in the comment section as it comes in. 4 seconds for number 32. Yep. Pandemonium.
First of all, the Orlando Magic are keeping this pick, and Noah Penda will be on the roster next year. A bunch of teams were hoping to stash Noah Penda for a year, but he had no interest in that. He's coming to the NBA. Now, Noah Penda is the most instinctual off-ball defender in this draft class. He has a great feel for the game. He's an outstanding passer. He has big-time versatility defensively. He makes
reminds me a lot of Josh Green, by the way.
7-foot wingspan and strong anticipation skills. He had a very productive season as a 20-year-old with Lamont and Troy. They're one of the best teams in that league. He's not the most explosive guy. He's not the most consistent outside shooter. But think of him as somewhat of a Kenrich Williams type, Swiss Army knife. For the Orlando Magic, I think he's going to be a very intriguing pick for them.
And he's one of, as we mentioned, several.
That's crazy, enigmatical.
Come from France for international picks. It's marking a little bit of a different trend that we're seeing right now in the NBA.
Yeah, well, the United
See what Charlotte does.
States is a good play at the best players in the world. They're not going to have all of them. And France has done a great job of developing young players, and geez, the crazy length that some of these guys have, and length matters in the NBA.
And now Noah Penda is with
Penda was 37 on my board.
Congratulations. We just came off of a terrific graphic addressing the legacy and the tradition that's developing in terms of French players. You join that group of talented young men. How are you feeling?
Really excited. I was there last night for the first round. I see all of my former teammates, former friends getting called to get on the big stage. So that's just, I'm happy for them, happy for me, and ready to get to work.
Now, personally, in terms of getting to work, you're joining an Orlando Magic team who was known for their tenacious defense, and that is one thing that has been praised about your game.
Appreciate you, Frankie.
Honestly, I think
Celtics are trading this pick.
I'm glad to
Celtics traded this.
Magics. Thanks for them for trusting me. And I'm just really excited to get there.
Outstanding.
Yes, Carter Knox is not in this draft. He returned to school.
The Magic are having a very aggressive couple of weeks here.
This isn't Boston's pick. This is the Magic. Orlando picked him. Okay, Orlando has 3 centers. And drafted a guard last night in Jace.
And the Magic selected Jace Richardson as well at number 25. And look,
because Brad Stevens only makes trades when he wants the stuff that's coming back in it.
But I think the big thing is getting Desmond Bain. That helps their shooting because they need to score. Jace Richardson can shoot it as well. He may be small, but offensively he's very gifted.
The Eastern Conference right now, again, I think a lot of folks thought that the Indiana Pacers would be, no pun intended, setting the pace for the rest of this conference. And I think Orlando is a team, the Atlanta Hawks, as you mentioned earlier, are the New York Knicks, the Cleveland.
Gorgeous Rock, definitely.
Saying why not?
Grant says Celtics wanted Fleming. I mean, maybe. Fleming's off the board, though, to Phoenix at 31. Come on, San Antonio, trade for Ray. No. Enigmatical says Messiah is better than Brad Stevens.
This is a ruthless space that you work in. It's competitive. It's about winning. And these teams in the Eastern Conference, they're saying, well, this is an opening. You know, they're saying, hey, we got to look at it realistically. And that East has probably never been more open due to these injuries.
And we have an Eastern Conference team on the clock.
I don't think so.
The Charlotte Hornets, they just finished up their first year under obviously LaMelo is one of their cornerstones, Brandon Miller as well. How do you see them sort of climbing out
Perry, please trade up for Adou.
Conference historically and making a bit more of a push?
They just had a lot of difficulty getting traction with their team.
We will
They've
see.
Changed over coaches. LaMelo has had injury issues last
We
year.
will see where he goes. He is the best player on the board yet, in my opinion. I'm going to try and update the board on the bottom here on the ticker as we go. So Noah Penda is coming off the board. He is no longer available. Let me save that and put it back up. Here is the second round order. Again, we are on to the Hornets at 33 and 34.
They did address the team last night with the Continental draft pick. They were last in effective field goal percentage, nipple 48% from three and corner threes. That is a big addition for them.
To your point about injuries, 3 and 32 when LaMelo Ball didn't play this season. Brandon Miller played 27 games because of a wrist injury as well, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is how you do it, though. This is how you build up through the draft. I mean, Brandon Miller was a great pick. Ball was a great pick. And the Kemba, they hope he's a great pick. And you gotta hope.
Jonathan Isaac is on a non-guaranteed contract, so at worst he'll get cut at some point in the next 24 months. So.
Oh, here's SGA. No one saw necessarily him becoming an MVP of the league, which is such a cool story.
No, I mean, he was a
Twig Gaming wants the Spurs to trade in. Rebel says hoping Spurs can get a quality backup center. If Adou Thiero gets taken, my last guess for Wolves at 36 is Jameer Watkins. Interesting.
We talked about guys that were second round picks that are MVP. Bogoljub going to the second round. It still bothers me. Did you say it was drafted during a commercial?
He was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. He had an all-time quote about that I'll share later, but it's time to get it back to Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum with the pick.
With the 33rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Sion James from Duke University.
Sion James, the senior guard here out of Duke, Jay.
Well, Sion James started his career at Tulane, where he was considered a scorer, but when he transferred to Duke, he became a point guard, really physical, an excellent athlete, and an outstanding defender. He's not a guy that's going to go out and get you 3-4 steals in a game, but he really limits his assignment. He keeps the ball away from him, stays in front. He's a good passer, very low error rate, does not turn it over, and a very good cutter. But his on-ball defense and the fact that he does so many things well and very steady, the key will be improving his shooting. He can make
I like this a lot for
shooter and take advantage of opportunities.
He joins 3 of his fellow
for the Hornets.
brothers who are already drafted here
Let's go
in the
to Gavoni quick.
2025 NBA draft. The Charlotte Hornets are
Welcome everyone to the stream. Hopefully you are enjoying. Selected Sion James, 33rd overall. Here is my grade again for that. I gave them an A. I really like this for them. Really like this pick. My favorite team is the Dallas Mavericks, although I like every team. I'm an NBA fan, and my favorite player is Luka Doncic. So, Joseph says I'm so confused about the Hornets. They have no direction. I mean, they're, I don't know. Kind of get what you're saying there. We're in love with the Duke guys, I guess. Yep. Knipple and Sion James stay together. It's a good point there. Like that. Staying in North Carolina. Keep it close to home, huh? Yes, reunited with Khan. Yep. Pretty good for them for sure. Welcome everyone to the stream if you're just tuning in. We have the audio. And we got a commercial going on, so I'm going to turn down the volume here now. I just realized I'm not trying to give Dave and Buster's free airtime. But yeah, Sion and Khan reunited. Glad to have you in here, Alex. Josh says, hey, man, I wanted Sion in New Orleans. Sion's an awesome player. Really useful guy. So Grant says Duke's having quite a run. Yes, they'll have another guy picked tonight in Tyrese Proctor. A whole starting 5 guys drafted this year, I'm sure. So they've had a great year. I really like Sion James. Think he's a really good player. and someone who's going to stick around for a long while in the NBA, I think. He's just got really useful tools. A lot of people are going to like him. In Charlotte, I mean, he's going to be loved there. Reddy here says Hornets are building a culture. Seems like that's what they're trying. Zhao says, I like you have the audio on. Really helps. Greetings from Brazil. Appreciate you big time, Zhao. Glad to have you in here. Not Too Fam says, Charlotte going for a playoff push this year. I don't think they'll be in the playoffs. I'm going to bet against that. But we'll see what they do at pick 34 to help their team. Joseph says, well, the good news for the Hornets is both the Blue Devils get to stay in the same state to start their careers in the NBA. Yes. Osaray says, Kalkbrenner slipping, easy top 20 impact. I definitely do think he will return good impact. I had him at number 26 on my big board. I think he's kind of hard capped as a backup big man if you're going to win with him on your team. He's not a starting caliber big, but he will be sticking. Sion and Zion, yep, with two different names there. Taterhead says we have a trade. Do we? State Farm. It's not sponsored. I'm not. ESPN is. By State Farm. Yogurt has more culture than the Hornets. Okay, that's crazy. Spike Lee's at round 2 of the draft tonight. It's 4 Duke players. Flag, Malawatch, Knipple, and Sion James most recently now. All right. Okay, why did it do that?
Well, when we were talking about all the recent injuries in the conference, my thought was, with these injuries, would that make you more aggressive in the short window to make moves? Because you've got a championship opportunity with so many star players in the league.
Yeah, I think I answered. I would do something. I don't think I would do anything reckless. I would do something in the short term. And that might mean, and Bobby, you know this, that might mean I wasn't planning on using my tax pyramid level exception to get a $5, $6, $7 million player, but now I am. That may mean I'm going to go out and make a trade for a rotation guy and give up some draft capital because this is a window. But I'm not going to do it for a guy that has 4 years left. But I might do it for a guy that has 1 year left. Guys like Cam, that's Cam Johnson's the guy where you say, hey, this guy this year, I need him for this year because I have a window in the East.
Yeah, so it's like that. When you look at it in 2-year windows, right? We were always talking about 4 or 5. How can they help you now, and how can they help you next year? And the one thing you don't want to do is go all in, and then it blows up in your face.
The pick is in.
With the 34th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton University.
Ryan was a defensive force at Creighton. However, it's a former NBA champion and MVP that Ryan replicates at times on the.
I think that's pretty good for them. Ryan Kalkbrenner is the pick.
I got way more comfortable shooting the ball this past year. Our protection has been there a while. Our ability to go around the perimeter has taken a lot of steps forward.
I think this is a very good pick. Yep, Kalkbrenner is a center. I think Kalkbrenner is a huge W. Not trying to skip. I'm just trying to also watch the draft while streaming here. So I'm not trying to skip any comments. I do think Kalkbrenner is a great player. So not trying to skip. I'm just trying to tweet and watch the draft as well, just like you guys. Which is why last night I didn't stream during the draft because I wanted to focus. Rebel says, do you play 2K? Would love to see you do a fantasy draft. Who you taken number 1 last season's regular roster, including this draft? I mean, I would take probably Jokic or Shea. Duke says, wow, we actually made good picks. And yes, Bryce, you were right. Hornets getting the exciting whites.
By the way, those 4 Big East Defensive Player of the Year awards, the only other player to do that was Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. You can take a look here at the Hornets draft picks over the last 2 days. And now it's the Philadelphia 76ers 76ers that are on the clock. Philadelphia, another team playing with injuries last year. Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. They only played 15 games together. Joel Embiid was shut down in February after playing 19 games, his fewest in a season since missing the entire 2015.
That's a funny. That's hilarious. Thiero slipped to the Wizards. We will see where he goes. He's available at 35. Minnesota, I'm sure, would like him at 36. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to count Coward as that. He did not play there, but yeah, kind of, right? Kind of 5 of them already, which is crazy.
Whatever keeps him healthy and keeps him on the floor for the longest period of time. I mean, the MVP of the Sixers could be the medical staff because he's got.
Not Too Fam says Hornets had a great draft. Love all their picks. Wins at the rim. I think that's the biggest value for him, Joseph.
The team that can take a huge step forward in that situation is Philly. Daryl Morey, their team president, talked last night about how after drafting BJ Edgecombe, he felt like they had one of the best backcourts in the league. And I kind of agree. When you look at Jared McClain, who's maybe on the way to being Rookie of the Year candidate last year before he got hurt, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George. If they're healthy, that team is very formidable. It's big if.
Yeah, that's a big if.
Well, it's a huge if because look at the guys that our whole conversation's about health, right? We can talk about
I
health.
feel like they've had a lot of like doom and gloom health.
I know.
Well, we need to do a little bit like this.
Why are we talking about it? Because it's probably the most important thing to discuss. But assuming health, yeah, they got a great shot. I mean, especially because we talked about it 5 minutes ago. The East is open. Now the West is not open. West is healthy and it's very good.
Well, they've gotten younger, certainly with the BJ Edgecombe draft last night, and Quentin Grimes during the trade deadline. Certainly, yeah, and that's going to be a priority for them when we get into the offseason. He's going to be a restricted free agent. The downside, it might cost you Gershon Yabustelli, who's an unrestricted free agent, and there's going to be a priority is how you go about putting together some front court depth because you're going to need an insurance policy for
The 35th pick. We'll see who they who the Philadelphia 76ers go with. Welcome everybody to the stream. Glad to have you guys in here. Over 500 people still watching live. Grant wants to know if I'm going to broadcast on YouTube for Summer League. Perhaps. We'll keep the option open for that.
But I mean, he wasn't even available at any point in the season for what he did 21 games. That's not enough.
Yeah, and I think we saw the two teams in the finals with the depth that they had, right? Oklahoma City played a ton of guys, as did the Indiana Pacers. But I think the lesson in all that, you were there at training camp. This was a team that was considered to be a contender, and now they got the third pick in the draft. You just never know what's going to happen. You never know.
That's why the offseason is the honeymoon period, right? We all love our roster, and then we get to training camp, we're like, uh-oh.
Well, it was a highly touted offseason, I think, for any team last year, Brian.
Sure. And look, they knew that there was going to be some issues 2 or 3 years in because some of their players were named, but they really thought they had a window in the next.
I will wait to put the name. What would you give the trade grade for the Celtics? Mason wants to know. I would say an A. I think getting 4 second-round picks for one is pretty good. I'd say an A for them. Yep. Like I said yesterday, I thought Philly was going to keep PG. It just seemed like that was the way they were trending, and that's what we're ultimately seeing here.
He's a fantastic player. I mean, this guy's an MVP of the league. He's tremendous. When he's healthy, I mean, he's one of the best players in the NBA. And so I want to talk about health. I want all these. This is why we love watching basketball. Guys like that.
And now,
Marcelo says, hopefully Reynaud falls all the way down to 45. That'd be crazy.
let's see who's headed to the Philadelphia 76ers.
With the 35th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Janai Broom from Auburn University.
Janai Broom is the pick at number 35. I'm going to give it a B. I would love to work for an NBA front office. I would do that in a heartbeat. And at some point in the future, I will. Yes, I think Miles Bird will be drafted. Salami. Yeah.
And he started playing basketball when he was just 9 years old at YMCA. When he was younger, he modeled his game a little bit after James.
I agree, Grant.
He's a lefty. He's a player who he sees that can get the job done every night. He was the unanimous
I hope so, Dexy.
American selection, and it really has a good feel for the game, Jay.
Yeah, he's a lefty, an undersized 5-man, but he's got a 7-foot wingspan. And you mentioned, Malika, that he started his career at Morehead State, where he was Player of the Year in his league. When he transferred and went to Auburn, Bruce Pearl said, "We'll see if these numbers translate to the SEC." And it did. He was dominant in the Southeastern Conference. In fact, he was the Player of the Year, led Auburn to the Final Four this last season. Shoots 66% at the rim, excellent on post-ups, and he's fantastic on the offensive glass. Just under 4 offensive rebounds a game. He may not be an above-the-rim big guy, but he carves out space and he gets things done. Really productive player that has been overlooked before. And
I think Broom's a really solid player. Osterreich says another T20 to 25 value guy. Thank you, MS. Appreciate you. Definitely gives them some depth at center, that's for sure. Here's Janai Broom speaking.
We've got the Jab 5 represented, which is your family, because you all share those wonderful initials. Mom, Julie, and Dad, John. When you see your son accomplish his dream, what have you seen that has allowed him to get here?
Pardon me?
When your son accomplishes this dream, what have you seen that allowed him to get here?
His hard work and his dedication to the sport that he loves, to something his passion has always been, so his dream come true.
Congratulations to the whole family, guys. Janai, best of luck on your next step.
thank you.
Monica, thank you so very much. This next pick, the 36th pick, we have some news about, so I want to bring back in our...
Here's news.
Malika, we do have news if I can fix it. The Lakers are acquiring the number 36 pick.
Lakers.
In the NBA draft, so they have moved up. This pick is not Brooklyn. It's not anyone else's. It's the Lakers pick, and it's going to be for the 45 pick. And the player that they're targeting right now is Adou, Thiero.
Oh my gosh. Adou, Thiero is going to be a Laker. Holy shit.
A couple of times from Brooklyn to the Wolves and now to the Los Angeles Lakers here, Bobby Marks.
Yeah, they are certainly going to need complete help here. We're going to see what happens as far as what happens before he finishes.
Oh my gosh.
The big priority, of course, when we get into the offseason is center. How they go about addressing the center position properly for their general managers down front. That we need to fix that. They tried to do it at the deadline with Mark Williams. That trade was rescinded. Priority for center, but they'll get a really good wing right here.
Well, the pick is in, so let's send it back to the podium. And Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum here again. This pick is headed to the Los Angeles Lakers.
With the 36th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Adou Thiero from the University of Arkansas.
I love this. So we get to see the moment that the ball comes in. Adou led Arkansas in points and rebounds and steals, and this is a family of hoopers. His father played college ball under John Calipari for 4 seasons at Memphis before a series of health injuries caused his playing career to be cut short. His mom also played at Oklahoma City University and was drafted by the Washington Mystics in the W. So a lot of experience here. So this is a moment for the entire family. His sister, the first female player to dunk in Pennsylvania, a whole family affair. He says he's modeled his game after Derrick Rose when he was a kid. He played his freshman in soccer.
That's a steal for the Lakers. That's a steal for the Lakers.
Jonathan Gavoni calls him maybe the best dunker in this class alongside the number 3 pick, TJ Edgecombe.
Well, the one thing about Adou Thiero is he plays hard, man. He's got a 7-foot wingspan. He's long. He's athletic. He's very physical. He's gotten stronger. He started his career at Kentucky, transferred to Arkansas when John Calipari took the Razorback job. But he's an excellent driver. He cuts hard, but he's got a motor. Really physical defender. He was the only Southeastern Conference player to average over 15 points, just under 6 rebounds, and over 1.5 steals.
This was an absolute steal. This was an absolute steal for the Los Angeles Lakers.
He's a very capable player.
He
Let me. I need to find a tweet here.
Well, his favorite memory in basketball was winning a state championship with his high school. I have a feeling that this may be up there.
That's a huge pick for the Lakers.
Not just his father, Malika, but also his coach, right? At one point in his career. But Adou, how are you feeling? A dream realized.
We're good. Blessed, happy, just thankful, just grateful.
Here's Thiero speaking.
Or dad, mommy, we know that being a parent and a coach sometimes can be challenging. But to get your son to this moment, as a dad, how proud are you of him?
I'm super proud of him. He worked all his life for this moment, and we are proud of him.
Congratulations to you both. Congrats, Adou.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I so enjoyed hearing from the families in this moment alongside their sons, all the work to get to this moment, the NBA draft. From Marcus, and we'll be right back.
What a steal. What a steal. What a steal. Los Angeles gets Adou Thiero. What a steal. Wow. Wow. Adou Thiero, who I have comped multiple times to OG Anunoby, not quite the jump shooter that Anunoby is, but very functional and very similar in a lot of the other areas of the game. This is an absolute steal. This is the steal of the draft. Should not have gone at pick 36. Should not have been a second-round pick. Now, coming in, I had a real chance at – I knew there was a real chance. The Lakers needed athleticism. They needed someone who could be an impactful team defender. They get that here. 7 here says, I don't know how he didn't go first round. Reminds me of Amen Thompson, almost generational athlete. Not quite that good, not quite that athletic, but definitely the best athlete in the draft outside of Cooper Flagg. So WZH here says, with the new owner, Lakers have a lot of cash. Yes, they do. Joseph here says the Lakers need to tank so they can get Bryce James in 26. I don't think they're going to have to tank for that. What are the teams that Miles Bird fits into the best in your opinion? The Knicks need a guy with who can play in the wing. So I think if I was Miles Bird, that's where I would want to land, to be honest. This guy's going to learn how to shoot, says Wupo. This is a great pick for the Lakers. This is a tremendous pick, and if the number of pluses doesn't give that away, I don't know what will. This is a huge steal. The Lakers, if you're a Lakers fan, you should be over the moon excited right now. MS says, to be fair, steal the draft happened yesterday by the Atlanta Hawks. If you're talking about their trade, definitely was a worthwhile upside trade for them. Can't be mad at that perspective. But Derek Queen was quite good. So we'll see. Dexy, my guess is 45 in cash. We'll see what the reporting turns into here, but that's a huge W. This is a huge W. Do you think the Lakers will trade back into the second round? I mean, maybe, but it seems like they were aggressively targeting one guy. That one guy was Adou Thiero, and they got him. This was a huge win. Alfred says some team is going to get a good one in Chaz Lanier. Lanier's solid. Definitely can shoot the ball, so there's some value there. Reminds me a little bit of I made a video on him even a few drafts ago. Name is slipping my mind all of a sudden. He was a really good movement shooter. I think 2023 draft. Brisket here saying Lanier to Detroit. We will see what ultimately happens, but this was a great pickup. Thiero and Luca Sheldon closeted Lakers fan confirmed. I do have a Lakers jersey in my closet now after my fiance got me a Lakers jersey for my birthday, a Luca one. So I'd have to add the Adou Thiero one to the cart too. Oh, it did happen. Oh, they did it during the commercials. Okay.
He made the most threes in Tennessee history in a single season with 123. 98 of those were catch and shoot, but cutter moves without the ball and gets it off quickly. He's long arm, 6'9" wingspan, and he's athletic at the fourth fastest agility time in the combine and the fifth highest max vertical leap. But I'm calling the movement shooter with a good pull-up game. He was SEC Newcomer of the Year, but making the most threes in Tennessee history. Tennessee had Chris Lofton and Dalton Connect last year. Chaz Lanier can shoot it. Started his career at North Florida and played last year for the Volunteers. And had
Let's give that an A.
He also won the Jerry West Award as the top men shooting guard as well here. It's San Antonio Spurs now that are on the clock. However, I always have to double check, but this pick is going to the Pacers for second round picks. They fly around a whole lot. Picks are also made in the break. I have a
What a
story
steal,
of
man.
picks being made in the break.
What a steal.
Jokic, but first, this pick is in. Again, this one is headed to the Indiana.
Here we go. Pick is in.
Let's send it back to the podium and Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum.
With the 38th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Cam Jones from Marquette University.
So Indiana gets Cam Jones.
Carried on his shoulder after being overlooked in high school, and that drive has carried him all the way to the NBA. After spending 4 years at Marquette, Cam Jones ranks second in program history in points, racking up over 2,000 with the Golden Eagles. He has a very close relationship with head coach Shaka Smart, and you noted Bobby, originally from Memphis, Tennessee. This combo guard, he averaged just over 19 points a game, 48% shooting from the field. And now he is headed for his moment here on the dais, Jay.
Well, Cam Jones is a winner, and he did a great job at Marquette as a shooting guard when Tyler Kolek was running the point. And when Kolek was drafted by the Knicks, Cam Jones moves over to the point. And the lefty, people were asking, is he going to be able to run the point effectively? And he really did. I mean, he accounted for 34.5 points in both scoring and assists for Marquette this last year. He's a career 38% three-point shooter. Didn't shoot it quite as well as a senior, but he's got a good touch, really good footwork, and very good at creating space for himself. Body balance, he's always in attack mode, does a really good job of moving without the ball.
Remember, Pistons took Lanier. Cam Jones goes at 38.
Distributor this past year when he had to take over the point.
And now Cam is in Monica.
Cam, there's been so much energy since your name was called. You came on the stage, you gave us 2 I'm ready claps. What are you feeling?
Man, I'm just ready to get to nap time and get to work.
All right, you obviously are a guy that's been loyal to your time in Marquette, staying there under head coach Shaka Smart. What do you think you've learned over 4 years in one organization with that head coach?
Man, it takes what it takes. I'm in.
Alex says he hopes Dallas gets Mark Sears. Welcome, J. Ken. Glad to have you in here. Just got drafted. Lanier has Jokic's floor confirmed. Commercial plot armor. Frankie says Simmons going nuts over that Hawks trade where he kept mischaracterizing it as Pelicans' own pick. Has everyone overreacting? It wasn't a good trade, but it was the only way to get Queen. Could be worth it. I think, it is New Orleans' pick. But MS says, Sheldon, what's your take on Ivy's fit with Pistons? Wonder if the new front office uses him as a trade chip this year. I think they should keep him. I don't think they should get rid of Ivy. He was just finding his group before he got hurt. So Grant says thought Indy would take Nembhard. Andrea says Luka's greater than Shea. Roy says nice digs, Cam. Joseph, Spurs are getting good players. This is going to Indiana. Pacers are the ones who got Cam Jones here, Joseph. Pick was traded. Thank you for giving your grade here. Definitely, this is some valuable depth, and it's a cheap contract too, which is what Indiana's looking to get, is guys who can play on cheap deals.
While we're talking about something else, these are the moments that become bulletin board material a little bit later. The Toronto Raptors, they're on the clock now. And Toronto, while they struggled initially, they went 22 and 21 in their last 3 games of the season. They showed some flashes, again, of what this team can be. There's been some parts that have been moving around. So.
Yeah, it's challenging. They're trying to find a way through. They made some trades. Obviously, Brandon Ingram paid him as well. Scotty Barnes, one of the best young players in the league. And you're looking for players here. Like I said, now we're getting into the meat in the second round a little bit. This is where it gets harder, and I want to hear from Bobby, because what you said before the show was, what are the contracts being offered? It's changing. It's changing. We can get into it later if we don't have time.
Yeah, we went the two ways in the second round pick exception here. Sometimes you don't have the roster spot when you're picking in the second round, and you pick a player on a two-way contract. It's a non-rostered spot where you can only play up to 50 games. It doesn't count against the salary cap, and I think we're going to.
I think Queen is another Maryland bust. Diamond. That's yeah. I don't think that's the same outcome here. Dexy, could Tyrese Proctor be a possibility at 45 for the Wolves? Yes, Tyrese would be awesome for Minnesota, to be honest. Alex, do you think Orlando will take Brea if he is still there? Well, Orlando just traded up. Orlando got picked 32, so I don't think Orlando has any more second rounders tonight.
They do get a major injection of Brandon Ingram, who they traded for and extended, but never played them.
And defense became their calling card in that second half of the season as well. All right, pick is in. Let's send it back to the podium.
With the 39th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Elijah Martin from the University of Florida.
Elijah Martin goes at pick 39.
Championship. He averaged a career high just over 14 points a game. He also made the Final Four with Florida Atlantic back in 22-23, Jay.
A football player in high school, the first thing, he's strong, physical, and tough. Like, he's really tough. And I thought he changed Florida in a lot of ways with his toughness, especially defensive.
Oh, that's funny. I typed toughness as he said that.
Defender, really tough on the ball. He's a low center of gravity, and it's really tough to get by him. He fights through screens, and then he also attacks in transition. A good pull-up shooter. He may be a little bit undersized for a guard, but he's got a 6'7" wingspan. But that toughness, the fact that he gets steals, and he's always in attack mode, never takes a backseat. Really, your point about having Final Four experience when he was at Florida Atlantic, it's no accident that he was a Final Four player for Florida Atlantic to the Owls, and they won the national championship in Florida.
Hey, he's a winner. The Raptors, they drafted Colin Murray-Boyles with the 9th overall pick last night. So we got two SEC guys headed up.
CMB and Elijah Martin. Gorgeous. Here says, do the Suns have any more second-round picks? Yes, they have 41 yet. Queen isn't a tweener. His measurements are almost the exact same as Şengün. Problem I have is an overpay. I'm just worried about the draft pick next year, but all right, Pell's up. Got to be a pure 5. Who's a good fit? I mean, we'll see what they do. I don't think it has to be a 5. I think a wing makes actually some more sense for them. Brea is still on the board, and so is Reynaud. The Spurs should definitely trade back into the draft. Elijah Martin with some drip. Kobe Bryant's the bonus. Would be good. I would love for Denver to go get Kobe Bryant. Get him back with Dayron Holmes II. Welcome everyone to the stream, by the way, if you're still watching. Appreciate you big time. Sham said it was cash with 45. Exactly. That's what I was kind of expecting. So appreciate all the follows over on Twitter. Make sure to go leave a follow if you haven't already. We got the 40th pick. I need to turn down the volume because we got the Carfax on right now. I don't really care about that. 40th overall pick in the 25 NBA draft. The New Orleans Pelicans select Micah PV. Draft grade. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not super moved by this, but Micah Peavy is the pick. An older prospect. I don't know. Shot the ball well this past year, but I don't know. Don't love it. Not super moved. Poor free throw rates, and I don't know. I'm just not making that bet myself, but I don't know. Not super moved by that for New Orleans. I don't know. Don't love that. It's not like the end of the world, but this is a guy who is a career 60% free throw shooter as a guard. So I don't know. He had an incredible year for Georgetown as a fifth-year senior, but also played 37 minutes a game. So I don't know. Just not moved. But that is how the cookie crumbles here. New Orleans took Micah Peavy at number 40. Yes, Cadillacs. That is the truth there. Dustin says, why does Minnesota keep trading down? Flexibility, new ownership, getting extra cash doesn't hurt. Sheldon, who's going to draft cash considerations? He reclassifies every year, it seems. This been traded like 5 times already there. There's Micah Peavy. Officially goes.
Micah with his family, originally from Texas. He started his collegiate career at Texas Tech before playing 3 seasons with spending his final season at Georgetown. The average career high is across the board. He also led the Big East in steals per game and minutes per game last season. He earned all Big East first-team honors in 2024-2025 as well, Jay.
Really good scorer, averaged about 17 a game, and proved to be a good rebounder, just under 6 rebounds a game. So he's got size, he's a gifted athlete, and very physical. Another guy who plays really hard. He's got a great motor and really puts good pressure on the ball as a defensive switch.
Yeah, he's got. This is the thing, commercial aura here. So we'll see what happens, but.
Take it to the rim. Good mid-range game. He can pull up and was really good at pick-and-roll situations. Averaged just under 4 assists a game, but his defense really, really good. He gets a couple of steals per game, forces turnovers. A really solid basketball player, Micah Peavy.
And Micah is with Monica.
Micah, I watched some of your pre-draft interviews, and you felt very strongly about your ability to make an impact on the defensive end. What gives you the confidence on that side of the ball?
I just feel like I impact the game at that end of the floor better than anybody in the country. So I just can't wait to show that at the NBA level.
You've had a very business-like approach, and even now. Talk to me a little about the emotions of achieving this dream and the opportunity now to begin an NBA career.
Man, this journey was a marathon, 5 years in college.
Shout out everyone still watching.
My coaches, it's everybody who's been a part of this.
Yes.
Thank God.
This is the 40th pick was originally Washington's as part of the. It's not in the first round swap. It was the CJ McCollum trade.
Now joining us here on the NBA Draft broadcast is the third pick.
Aquino, thank you for the 5. Says Spurs stoked about Trey. Liked him more than Bailey, to be honest. Intrigued by Riley. Have to think Reyno is the pick for us if he falls. I hope so. Reyno would be fun for the Wizards for sure. I do think Trey was a much better pick than Ace Bailey would have been for you guys, and I really like him going forward. So, Keno, thank you for the 5. Appreciate all your support again. Let's see if I can get this updated here. No Sion James. Jazz Lanier off the board.
It feels great.
I ain't getting to be the staff that I go to tomorrow. But I'm still lost for words. It's like a dream right now. I can't even tell you. I'm still lost for words. It still feels surreal.
BJ, we spend all our time describing you and how you play and the type of player you are. So describe yourself for us. What do you bring to Philly and what maybe you need to work on?
Got VJ Edgecombe on the broadcast now.
I can impact the game anyway. I feel like if I'm not scoring, I still can impact the game. But it's against them that's going to play their heart out.
Appreciate you again, Aquino. Shadow says, what's good, Sheldon? What are your thoughts on Kobe Sanders? Solid guard, but I'm a little worried about his I mean, he hasn't shot the three well before this year at all, so that's my concerns with PB. My thoughts on Kobe Sanders, I just am worried about opportunity for him. I think that's the biggest thing. Appreciate you, Jay Erms. Fingers crossed. Why is right now slipping? Hear about Colin Sexton could be moved to Minnesota. Would be good for them. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
Every penny counts. Every second on earth counts, to be honest, though. But it's taken for granted, and that was the main thing. I take away from it. All options, numbers, beat every face. But we're here today, so just credit to God for that.
BJ, I know you had a great season for Baylor, but I know last summer you played for the Bahamania national team with a bunch of NBA players, and you really excelled and stood out. What did that show you and teach you about how you might be ready for the next level?
Yeah, playing with the Bahamian team, it was a different ball game than college. It's a totally different ball game, especially in the pros. There's way more space. Yeah, you can't just sit in the paint the whole game. Cars is clogged up, man. So I was able to play in space, which plays to my advantage. Being with EG, Buddy, DA, they always taught me how to be pros. Just get better every day, carry myself as a pro, just stay disciplined throughout the whole time.
BJ, let's talk about that 76ers roster. How do you see yourself fitting in with Tyrese Maxey and certainly Jared McCain?
What a draft. What a draft for the Phoenix Suns, man. This is insane. This is insane. Dude, look at this. What a draft for the Phoenix Suns. Appreciate you, Shadow. Jerem says, I just knew it. I love the offseason for the Suns so far. A+ up to this point. JJ says, holy smokes, the Suns are absolutely killing it. Grayson Allen could be gone. We'll see. But the Suns just got the best three-point shooter in the draft. Grant says, maybe the Suns should hire you, Sheldon, since they're utilizing your knowledge. Funny enough, I was actually credentialed for the Phoenix Suns this year. I can't show too much of this, but you guys can see that. Yeah, maybe the Suns should hire me if they're going to be taking my my flow like this. What a year for them, though, man. I wish they would have gotten Adou Thiero. Really wish they would have pulled that off as well. But, dude, the Phoenix Suns.
I wasn't expecting them to be like that, but now I like how it's going. Philly fans, I'm putting in the work. You're gonna get my best before it every day.
And now you're a part of that brotherhood. BJ, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us. We know this is an incredibly busy week for you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so very much. All right, we're getting close to this pick. Again, it says Golden State is on the clock, but this pick is being traded to the Phoenix Suns. And now the pick is in, so let's send it back to Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum to see who is headed to Phoenix.
With the 41st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Kobe Bryant from the University of Kentucky.
Phoenix Suns killed it, man. Phoenix Suns has a Frankie. It's like those two guys are like neck and neck. The one thing I would have an argument for, Bray was a lot more effective as a 2-point shooter this year as well. So higher 3-point attempt rate, better on 2-point jump shots. Like as a pure shooter, I would take Bray. Now, part of that is Bray is a little bit older. So as of today, the day I'm saying this, I think that's true. Now, if you're telling me 3 years from now, 4 years from now, Trey Johnson becomes a better shooter, I definitely would think that's realistic. It's literally like Brea, Trey, Knipple. Those are the top 3 guys to me, and then probably Lanier is in that like kind of 4 to maybe 5, 6, 7-ish range. Definitely some other good ones, but I do prefer Brea. I think Brea is an absolute a home run pick. Dustin gives it an A+ here. Wake Up says Phoenix crushed this draft. Mason, who is a big-time Suns fan now, says the Suns are absolutely killing this draft. I love it. I absolutely love it. Honest to God, I think Matt Ishbia has been watching videos. Honest to God, I think Matt Ishbia, if you're in the chat right now, leave a comment. Someone go make a burger of Matt Ishbia profile so that we can get Matt Ishbia in the chat here today. That's so good, man.
Absolutely. Claire Mikey went and left 10-6 man of the year twice here. And interestingly, he called Devin Booker his favorite player. And now he's headed to Phoenix. He's with our Monica McNutt.
Thank you, Malika, with Kobe and his dad, Stefan. But I gotta say, your mom, Myra, looked very emotional when your name was called. And she gave you the nickname Fuego. Spoke that you would bring the heat. What do you say to both of your parents?
Dude, the Suns just got so much better, man. The Suns had such a good draft. The Suns have done so good.
I'm extremely happy for them, and I wouldn't rather be doing it with anybody else. So I appreciate it.
This is an absolute beast. This is an absolute pick.
So glowingly about how much you appreciate your sacrifice along the way as you were planning the things that you dreamed.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What a draft. Welcome everyone in here to the stream.
Amazing. So happy for you. You did great.
All right, Kobe, this pick is headed out to Phoenix, right? An organization that's been talked about a bunch. But what would you be bringing?
Anything that's needed. I'm an extreme competitor. I'm somebody that's super coachable. I just want to be there and, become the best version of myself and do whatever's asked of me. So they're going to get something that's, all hands in.
Excellent stuff, Kobe. Congratulations to you and your family.
I like the nickname Fuego there. And moments like this remind us of the draft. It's not just about potential. The emotion we saw from Mom, it's about perseverance being rewarded, about families finally exhaling as well. Sacramento's pick is it.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Minnesota Timberwolves are trading to the Phoenix Suns the draft rights to Rasheer Fleming, the 31st pick. With the 42nd pick,
What a home run, man.
25 NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Maxime Reynaud from Paris, France, and Stanford University.
There is Reynaud. He officially comes off the board to Sacramento. Michigan State. That's the background info. But I don't know. Matt Ishbia at suns.com probably is the email. Brendan here. Brendan is a big Kings fan. He says you got this right, Sacramento. I think this is a good pick for the Kings. A+ grade from me here. Of course, I'm still kind of sitting here thinking about the Thiero pick for the Lakers. The Suns scooping up both Rasheer Fleming, Kobe Brea tonight. Awesome day for a bunch of these teams, but I'm very happy. Yeah, I don't think you can play the two of them together, but I think it's 48 minutes of good center play. You spell them off of each other, and then hopefully Mark Williams can stay healthy, playing only about 20 to 24 minutes a game instead of 28 to 30. Good spot for Reynaud here. So Shadow definitely goes lower than we expected, but I like this a lot for them. I like this a lot for the Kings. Yeah, Scott Perry's doing very well for Sac. Getting Nick Clifford and Reynaud worked out very good.
Enamel, clinical enamel strength can help us to keep our enamel for a lifetime. It's backed by science. It is clinically proven to strengthen our teeth. I would recommend
really like this. This has been a great, honestly, day 2 has been so fun tonight. I'm having a great time here. I hope you guys are as well. This has been absolutely wonderful. Again, one of my best grades of the night, A++ for Kobe Brea to the Phoenix Suns at 41. This is a guy who's got 10-year pro written all over him. He's going to stick around like Landry Shamet. He'll stick around like Kyle Korver, Jason Capono. This is Malik Beasley. Players who can really shoot at the level that Kobe Brea can, where he's just the best shooter, or at worst, the second best shooter in the draft, is so valuable. MS, this is a great one. Everyone, show some love here for this Sheldon said, he said, Sheldon, I have a confession. MS stands for Michigan State. I am the university Ishbia went to. We're rescinding his diploma if he doesn't hire you. Wow, Ishbia is going to be a little disappointed with that. But MS, it's a funny comment. Appreciate you being in here. And MS says, like it for the Kings, he will get burned with them. Yeah, so they remember they traded for Valanciunas last year, so maybe a little low, but maybe they play big, right? You know, Reynaud's athletic and can shoot it a bit, so we'll see. Dustin says, so got pick 45 from the Lakers right after trade 36. Yes, so the Wolves should have the 45th selection tonight, as long as they don't trade down again, which they, possibly could. I think the Suns did really good tonight. I think Phoenix did so good, man. Phoenix walked away with some really good players this year. Maxime right now, so he's not your traditional rim pro big man. He's not going to block 2.5, 3 shots a game, but he's a solid player. So he's going to positionally set himself in spots to succeed. So the Wizards on the clock here now with the 43rd overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. The Washington Wizards select draft grade B. Appreciate you guys all so much for being in here. Recent picks here. Of course, Brea at 41 to the Suns. 42, you get Maxime Reynaud to Zach. And 43, the Wizards select Jameer Watkins. Rogue here says, forgot to mention it, but Sheldon got me locked on Sears more than Proctor. Hopefully Sears small. Here's the draft pick.
As part of a deal to be finalized later, the San Antonio Spurs are trading to the Indiana
Appreciate you, Bryce.
The draft rights to Cam Jones, the 38th pick. With the 43rd pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select Jameer Watkins from Florida State University.
Bobby, you are a huge fan of Jameer Watkins.
Well, I'm a huge fan of him on and off the court. He comes out in the draft last year.
So Jameer Watkins is the pick. So the one thing, Sears had his least efficient season in college basketball, and Small had one of his most efficient seasons. And from a true shooting standpoint, Sears was still more effective. So that's why I like Sears over both of those guys. But I think Proctor is, toggles a little bit more off the ball though. So when I get my front office job, would I still be making YouTube content? Probably not, to be completely honest with you. But you never know. Howie says, any other new team owners you have info on? Thank you. Looking for info. I like Jameer as a player a lot, says Bryce. Dustin says, who's still available? Bryce says he appreciates me. Bryce, I appreciate you appreciating me appreciating you.
Actually, kind of out of roster space. They traded the 24th pick last night for a future first because they didn't have anywhere to put him. They don't have free agents. They're going to return.
Well, they can make a two-way pick here. So
it wouldn't surprise me if there's a pick here that maybe is a two-way player or maybe is
yeah.
pick that would be stashed overseas or developed for a while.
We had such a wonderful time riding the wave of the 7-game series for the Oklahoma City Thunder that culminated, of course, in a championship in Oklahoma City on Tuesday. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander making sure the fans get to see the Larry O'Brien Trophy, the first championship this franchise has won in the city. This was the most incredible atmosphere I think I've ever been a part of. I have seen a lot of basketball, Bob, and I don't know that I've ever seen a more raucous environment than what we saw in Oklahoma City.
Oh, besides Oakland?
I'm not going to let Oklahoma City believe that. I'm not going to let that happen. It was fantastic.
It was wonderful. It was really, really excellent. And to be able to see, I think there's a lot of hope that people are deriving from the Indiana Pacers run. People are saying if Indiana can do it, anyone can do it. On the other hand, folks are looking around at Oklahoma City, to Brian's point, and saying this could be a team, I'm guilty of it again, that we could see for years and years to come, and uniquely so.
Well, if we didn't learn anything, like you said, we are guilty of it. We thought Boston. A lot of people presumed Boston would win it last year, which they did. They'd win it again. They keep winning it. But now, not only did they not win it, they're in the process of kind of tearing the thing down a little bit, which is what they had to do. It's the second apron. This Oklahoma City team does have the advantage of youth, right? Young teams usually don't win the championship. It's very, very rare. It was second youngest team.
Second youngest team.
Yeah, the Blazers.
Blazers 77.
And so where this team is different, is that fact that they are so young and they still have a lot of really good players on rookie contracts. So they have a shot here to keep this going.
And the draft capital they have help with that too.
Oh yeah,
they've got a
it helps
ton
with
of
every
draft capital.
helps with all of it.
And one of those players they drafted in last year's lottery, Nicole Tobias, who was out all year, they're going to get him back. And it's basically the player they picked this year, Thomas Sorber, basically is going to replace Tobias because he's coming off foot surgery.
And really uniquely to the Oklahoma City Thunder, 4 second-round picks. We're not just on the roster, we're integral parts of this championship.
Wow.
We saw Mark Dagnall, he went to different guys at different points in every single series, right?
Yeah, they don't just have star players, they've had star development.
Maxime will probably play pretty quickly into his career. Bryce, you're funny for this. Jarms here says, thanks for the live stream, bro. I loved it. You'll see me in those comments. Gotta go. Love you. Appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for stopping. I will be probably concluding the stream here. We've been live for about 3.5 hours. Probably here after pick 45.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Washington Wizards
Zach
are
knows.
trading to the New Orleans Pelicans the draft rights to Micah Peavy, the 40th pick. With the 44th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Brooks Barnheiser from Northwestern University.
Wow.
Brooks Barnheiser averaged 17 points, 9 rebounds, 4.2 assists for Northwestern University. Sam Presti making another selection here.
Not surprisingly, from Northwestern playing for Chris Collins, Brooks Barnheiser is a high IQ player. A foot injury this last year that really disrupted the end of his season, but he knows how to play. He's an excellent defender, really good length, and just tough as nails. Not surprised that he was drafted.
Jay, thank you for that insight. All right, now we're turning to the 45th pick in this draft. The Chicago Bulls are on the clock here.
This is
At one point, this pick
Minnesota.
was on the move to the Los Angeles Lakers, Bobby Marks.
Now it's going to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Now it's going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Bobby, Minnesota's in a really interesting spot here because Julius Randle and Naz Reid, Chris Finch has said that he expects both of these players, these core pieces, to be back, but they have a lot of decisions to make.
Yeah, both have a player option June 29th is decision date. They also have Nikhil Alexander Walker, who's also an unrestricted free agent. And I think that's why we saw Terrence Shannon in the playoffs could potentially be a replacement.
Just spark plug for that.
And that's what they're going to need when you have when your finances are that hot. Rob Dillingham also, who they drafted last year.
I'm curious, when you have a guy on a big money contract, Brian, and you
Barnheiser was 60th on my big board. So it's not like terrible.
Is what I'm thinking of here. Because at times you see Reid playing backup center, but then that's really what they were going for this pick, right?
Yeah.
Milwaukee card says, here's my Bucks, Bucks look at. Amari Williams would be interesting for them, an athlete. Athletic big.
So that's what a team that is a mature team has to do.
Bryce John says, T-Wolves need a dog who's left.
They need to move back twice in this draft.
I would like Markovic for them.
Seem like that big of a deal to back from a pick like a 31.
I gave him a B, Grant. He's going to be on a two-way. Like, the Thunder, he's not going to be on their actual roster, but he'll be a two-way player for them, and that's fine. Like, if he develops a perimeter shot, he actually turns into a really good pick, but we'll see what happens. He actually was really good at Northwestern, and then suffered an injury that ended his season a little early. Remember, the Lakers just sold. Yep, stash player, exactly. Which will work great because after his two-way contract, they'll probably be able to give him like a 3-year or 3-year deal for like the minimum, and keep cheap depth. So like 2 years from now, he'll sign for something cheap.
Another second apron consequence, right? I mean, we're gonna keep saying. You guys said we gotta come up with a better name. I still have Paul. What is the best name for second apron?
Please let us know.
I think the Iron Apron. The Iron Apron. I think the Reaper.
Yesterday I rolled out Satan's Jam.
I don't like that.
Milwaukee Cardinals love the Lakers getting Thiero. Me too, man. Huge win. Tonight after the stream, I will have winners and losers come out for day 2. Okay, so stay tuned for that. It was my birthday, Caesar, so I streamed before the draft, and then I wanted to watch the draft with my fiance and friends.
In all honesty, in today's day and age with the second apron, if you're able to be competitive in the title game,
I still have videos coming out and everything, so hopefully you're able to check those out.
I think we should pause for 1 second, whatever we want to call it. Second apron, iron apron, your mama's apron, whatever it is. Can you just explain it one more time?
It's a threshold that you can exceed if you want to bring back free agents, but you can't exceed it if you're going to go out and sign free agents or go out and make trades. And it makes you got to like your roster. That's the biggest thing. And you can get around the second apron if you have draft picks. That's how you can kind of make the dance.
How much does Minnesota like this roster? Because I thought they did, and then you start hearing things about maybe they were a team that was interested in someone like Kevin Durant.
well, they were. They were interested in Kevin Durant at the trade deadline. They were interested in Kevin Durant 2 weeks ago. They didn't make that trade at the trade deadline because they and the Suns were the second apron, and ultimately they couldn't make it work. They didn't do it 2 weeks ago because Durant didn't want to go there. But it has worked out for them the way that they didn't make that deal.
I'm going to get a jar. We're going to put a $1 bill in it anytime someone says second apron. All right, the pick is in. This one headed to Minnesota.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Golden State Warriors are trading to the Phoenix Suns the draft rights to Kobe Bryant, the 41st pick. With the 45th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Chicago Bulls select Rocco
Zakarsky at number 45.
The NBA Global Academy.
Joseph says, well, I'm off. You have great insight on basketball. Thanks for your stream. Appreciate you guys. I will be ending the stream here. We are through half of the second round. I'm going to get to work on some videos. I've got a winners and losers coming out tonight, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Thank you again to all of our super chatters. I'm going to show them all on the stream here again real quick. Really do appreciate all of you so very much. Just means a lot having your guys' support. I think a lot. Zakarsky, by the way, for those who are still here, reminds me a little bit of Jacques Landale. Appreciate you guys all big time. Thank you all so much again for all the super chats. Thanks for all your awesome comments throughout the stream. Joseph gives me an A++++. Dexy says I don't get this. Yeah, I don't quite know either, but appreciate you guys. I don't love this for the Wolves, but I love the streams. I had a great time with you guys. Thank you all so much. Remember, my coverage will still continue over on Twitter while I'm working on videos, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.